championship fight. The mattered the most, and now heading into this season finale, it's a winner-take-all affair. We've been saying it all along, all weekend long, and it's true. Whoever wins this race is the 2013 national champion. It's as easy as that, if we can simplify it that much.
Yeah, and I mean, you couldn't have scripted this any better, honestly. Last race there was a 7-point spread coming into the race, and although that is close, if that race would have played out differently, it very well could have left the championship, not only in the racers themselves between Charlie and KAILUB, but you would have needed a spoiler because there's a 5-point spread between first and second. So, and with those two not being able, well, the 2 points now, the 5 points spread between what you earn for first and second would have made the difference of them needing someone to finish in between them. Where now it's, like you said, it's a winner-take-all affair, heads-up battle between those two guys. Whoever finishes ahead of the other is going to win the championship, and it keeps it really exciting.
That's right, but let's take it back to on the opening lap here. We do have Jordan Ashburn out front. He's been inching his way toward the front all season long. He's been that close from getting that podium finish here in 2013. So we have Jordan Ashburn, Paul Whibley, KAILUB Russell, Charlie Mullins, and Josh Strang. You know, what's interesting to note there is we have, in our top 5, we have a past champion, someone who's fighting for the championship, and then a 2-time champion in Paul Whibley. So Whibley, Mullins, and Strang all up there. They can all win this race. They've done it before. They've won several races in the past. So that's another interesting factor that's going to play into this race, is that we do have guys that haven't been up there that may not have gotten the win here yet, but could potentially spoil the race.
Yeah, and at this point, obviously on the first lap, apparently someone forgot to tell Jordan Ashburn that this was a, KAILUB Russell, Charlie Mullins affair. He wants out front. He wants to show what he's capable of. Obviously, all these guys, this is the last race of the season. Some of these guys have contracts that need to be renewed, or just to set themselves up better for next year and get better deals and better themselves. So each one of these guys is out there trying to win this race. Any of the guys in the top 5, or who knows, we might have somebody come, Thad Duvall, Chris Bach, any of those guys could get up in the mix as well, and it's going to be an exciting day. I'm curious to see, like I said, how the championship plays out, but also we have 3 hours of racing just to see who's our Ironman winner today as well.
Since the fact that we have 2 KTM teammates going for the championship, we can't really have any of that team tactics that people like to say goes on, because you know what? Everybody, they're both on the same team. They can't possibly have any team tactics going on besides their own. So it's just going to be a head-to-head battle till the end.
I wouldn't want to be in the KTM team manager's shoes today, because the simplest little, mistake by one of their crew guys in the pits, or out, the thing that people may not realize as we look at this shot here is, you're looking at a groomed moto track, great facility. A lot of what you see here is very picturesque, and it looks pretty timid, I guess, if you will. You get into the woods here at Ironman, and this is what GNCC racing is all about. We've obviously got, the famous obstacles, the Ironman hill climb, the Twin Hills, but there's some other sections of the track that aren't necessarily named or get quite the notoriety that are actually worse than some of what will be considered the worst parts of the track.
Yeah, tell us, Johnny, you raced yesterday in the 1 p.m. race. You've got a pretty good grasp on what these guys are going to see out here on the track. Talk about the big challenges that you think these guys are going to see, and what's going to be, maybe some of the problem areas out there on the track.
Well, the famous Ironman hill, I mean, anybody can YouTube that at home, or you're going to get to see it here in just a few minutes on RacerTV. It's a phenomenal spectacle to see. It's just thousands of spectators, and it's a straight-up wall with 4 or 5 different ways to climb it. And obviously, the bigger risk, the bigger reward. The quicker it is up is straight, but it's roots, it's nasty, it's gnarly. And the thing that you maybe can't see at home is they're coming straight out of a creek, so they're dragging water. So as the race progresses, now the morning race did not run Ironman hill climb, so it's going to be dry for them the first lap. They should shoot right up it without too much problem. But then, you have your A riders, your B riders, and everyone else dragging water up it as they attempt it throughout the rest of the day, and it's going to continue to get slicker. And anybody that's ever ridden a dirt bike or raced a dirt bike can tell you that wet roots are gnarly. So you've got a lot of roots on that hill, and the wetter it gets, the crazier it's going to get.
Yeah, and actually watching Ironman Hill yesterday during your race at the 1 p.m. race, it was pretty gnarly out there. Those roots, I've never seen roots come out that badly at the top of that hill. So that's going to be an extremely difficult factor. That could be the championship right there, that Ironman Hill.
Sure. It's about a difference of 8 to 10 seconds to go around versus straight up, which obviously we're talking 3 hours of racing. 10 seconds may not seem like much, but on the last lap, that could be the difference between the win and second place, obviously.
Absolutely. Like we said before, the last word we got from Barry Hawk and the boys, we had Jordan Ashburn out front, Paul Whibley in second, KAILUB Russell and Charlie Mullins running in those third and fourth spots, and then we had Josh Strang right there in the top 5. So it's going to get interesting. Rodney Tomlin, I'm going to pass it over to you.
All righty. Thanks a lot, Jen Kenyon. And, of course, great day of racing. I tell you, watching from out on the start myself, where I'm just making my way back in from here to the Amsoil Studios, and looking at the video that we have of Ironman Hill, where we saw literally thousands of folks yesterday. Actually, I think this might be Twin Peaks. No, this is Ironman Hill, I believe, that we're looking at. It is Twin Hills. 22 minutes into the race, by the way, and leaders are now, I believe, riders making their way by the Twin Peaks section of this race course. We've been 22:11 on the official race clock, 22:15 now, and yesterday we were looking at lap times 26 to 27 minutes. So we kind of expect with similar and nearly identical laps, we probably will see close to the same time. I'm expecting maybe more along the lines of about a 25, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know, this track here, it's kind of an even quad track versus bike track. There's a lot of fast stuff where certainly those guys they're a little bit lighter and same kind of horsepower, so they'll be pulling a little bit quicker top speeds, I guess, if you will. But as a whole, this track plays out pretty even against bike versus quad, so I think we'd be looking at the same kind of lap times. And I'm curious to see how this pace sets up early. Obviously, with Jordan at the front, you know, he's trying to prove something here. He's grabbed a whole shot for himself, and he's out front leading the way with. Oh, here they come onto the moto track. It looks like. Oh, is that KAILUB that's taking over the lead?
Wow, it looks like we got a couple new leaders. They're both on the KTMs, and I think you're right. I think that is KAILUB out front.
Yeah, KAILUB out front with Charlie in tow, so they've obviously made a push to the front. They're going to push the pace early, and looks like they maybe want to make this a two-rider shootout. A little early to call that, but they're definitely being aggressive here early.
Wow, beautiful quality shots. If you're watching GNCC live on RacerTV.com, 23 minutes and 30 seconds or so, I believe, is where we're at. Official lap time for KAILUB Russell, 23:31.3, 23:32.3 for Charlie Mullins. Literally just under a second separating the two. Jordan Ashburn only 3 seconds behind them at the number 3 spot is Paul Whibley running 4th. Josh Strang, the number 80 in 5th. Ricky Russell, rough and rowdy, the number 212 out of Duval, Washington, is running in the 6th place. Thad Duval, the 989. Honda rider running back in 7th. Rory Mead, who's going to be taking a trip to Japan for the JNCC in a few weeks, running the number 3 back of the number 8 spot as he opens up here in lap number 1. And looking at the time from 1st to, 8th place right now, you could pretty much say there's well less than 20 seconds to separate the top 8 or 9 or so riders out here. So that's going to be a pretty good battle, it looks like. Also checking in with us now, Crown Point, Indiana's KTM ride of Chris Bach aboard that number 10. And the beta ride, the Swedish rider of Robert Varnstrom, the 593, who made his way into Ohio a couple of weeks ago. And he came in touting that he was going to, beat KAILUB Russell. And he ran a pretty good lap and a half or 2 laps with Charlie and the boys there last time, but this time Varnstrom starts out in the number 10 spot. Also that Stuck MX Graphics Boulder Creek, California ride, the KTM ride of Justin Bonita is here with us this week, the number 451 back in 11th. Welcoming him, Takeshi Koikata, former JNCC champion, the Japanese cross-country champion, the 11 is running 12th. Adam Bonur, the 22 out of Morrison, Illinois, in 13th. Jedediah Haynes, who's dabbling a little bit in the XC1 Pro class, is running in the number 14 spot. And Stu Baylor, who is a broadcast partner on Saturday and has been a broadcast partner with us all season, is rounding out the top 15 in the XC1 Pro class. Leaders now making their way down through the Pro pits. This looks like a heated mission for all these riders right now, Johnny Gallagher.
Yeah, and lots of interesting things playing out there. We saw KAILUB come through with the lead. Oh, Thad goes down at the end of the Pro pits and goes through the... Or no, that's Strang.
That's Strang
there. So, you know, a lot of things heating up here early, and, KAILUB checked in the lead, and then it appears he was assessed a 15-second penalty for starting his bike early on the starting line, and that dropped him back to, I I believe that dropped him back to 5th as we saw, but it looks like he's back up to 4th already. So he's on the charge and coming back up through. And Charlie looked a little confused. We had Auntie, the KTM team manager, standing there motioning Charlie to keep going, but KAILUB needed to stop. So a little bit of drama here early, but I think they'll settle that out here quick, and it'll settle back into a good race between all those guys up front.
Well, you can see that, you know, it's anticipation and nerves for these guys getting ready to roll in. And what's funny, I was talking with Caleb Russell before the race today, and I asked him, I said, coming into this race, do you feel the pressure mounting? Do you feel all that, you know, hoopla and everything is coming down on you? You know what Caleb told me? He said, I feel no pressure this race. He said the pressure for me started after the Mammoth GNCC, whenever he came in 20 points down behind Charlie. And he's made up that 20 points since that time. And he said that's when the pressure was on him. Now it's not so much pressure. It's just a matter of going out there and doing what he knows how to do. And let's try to win this race today.
Yeah, and, you know, both of these guys have been in this situation before. Obviously, Charlie having won a championship, and then KAILUB last year took the title fight down to the last round with Paul. So he probably learned a lot through that experience, and ultimately not winning that championship, although he put in a great ride last year at Loretta Lynn's and nearly did win that championship. You know, I'm sure he's had a whole year to reflect on that. He's been in this position before. It's not like it was the first time. And we can't forget that KAILUB's won a number of XC2 titles and amateur titles throughout his career, so he's not new to the championship fight. And I don't think he was lying to you when he said there's no pressure on him. I think at this point he's worked with the people around him. He's confident in his program, and he knows that he's just going to go out there today and put in his best 3 hours. And same goes for Charlie. And, you know, they're both going to let this play out and see what happens from there. I think the interesting thing right now is we've got a pretty tight group up front. So it seems a couple times this year we've had guys that, whether it be KAILUB or Charlie or Paul, last race, you know, Paul really charged hard at the beginning, that we're able to get away, where today it seems we've got a number of riders that are all nose to tail here.
Wow, that is the 830. That's not one of our pro riders. That's an 838 machine. That might be one of our XC2 guys, but regardless, having some struggles there on the Twin Peaks Hills. And again, you know, the camera angles, just want to let folks know it's somewhat deceiving of what this particular hill is actually like. We call it Twin Hills, and Barry made the comment down there today. He said, you know, it used to be 2 hills. He said now it's like 10 hills going up through there now. But basically you got one big hill line there, and get up it any way you can. And that's pretty much the way it's turning out. Some lines are a little smoother than others, but here we go. We got some action coming from the first lap Ironman hill when Jordan Ashburn was leading that. Look at that, man. I mean, that hill really took some beating during yesterday's 1 o'clock pro race, as we see that Jordan Ashburn was leading this one early on, and we saw that back in the 3 and 4 spots was Russell and Mullins, and they were just settling into that early easy pace. Now, when we saw them later after this, we saw that KAILUB and Charlie had actually moved out to the front of the pack. There goes Chris Bach, one of Indiana's own. I believe we saw Thad Duvall behind us, and there went Jedediah Haynes. He's actually riding the WR. You might see the tail light out there and the headlight. He's running a full-on WR, nothing taken off of it. He's just riding it the way it comes off the showroom floor.
Yeah, this is, I believe, you know, Jed's kind of returned to XC1 action. He's been an XC2 rider for a number of years, I think the last 2 to 3, but back, I guess it would have been in 2010, 2011, Jed actually dabbled in the XC1 class prior to, you know, coming over to the Ampro Yamaha team or Reigns Racing Yamaha team. So he's back on the 450 and giving it a go today. Obviously, with his injury, he's not involved in the XC2 title fight. So figured he'd get up front and see what he could do. And yeah, you know, you mentioned the camera angles earlier, Rodney, and it really doesn't do justice. Anybody that has ever been to this race or seen this in person can tell you, I mean, they can barely stand on those hills, let alone, you know, be able to walk up and down them. So as these guys climb these, keep that in mind, that these hills are a whole lot steeper than they look, and you can see some things protruding from the hill, and a lot of those are roots. A lot of them are rock faces. I mean, you can see the amateurs here, these guys, but here comes the mud fleas, or the Ironman fleas, we'll call them for today.
Right, hill fleas.
Hill fleas, I like it.
So, and it's cool, man. And what we'll see is human change develop throughout the race day. There'll be 5, 6, 8, 10 guys linked arm to arm, grabbing these machines and hoisting them up as the race progresses today. It's a pretty amazing thing to watch, to say the least. Amateur riders is what we're watching right now. Some of the A and B class riders that fall in behind our XC1 and XC2 Pro class riders. We've had, well, this morning, nearly 200 youth riders off the starting line. At 10 o'clock start this morning, we had over 700 riders on the starting line. and well over 200 riders here this afternoon. So today alone, this race course has seen well over 1,000 riders and several laps put upon it, and it's taken some abuse and beating, not to mention what it took yesterday with the ATVs and the UTVs.
Yeah, we had a youth race yesterday morning, obviously, and then we had the amateur ATVs, the PM race. The UTVs would have been the 4th race, and then with 2 races already today, this would be race number 7 on this course for the weekend. And like you said, with 1,100 plus riders today and however many yesterday, I mean, we're approaching possibly 2,000 riders on this course throughout the course of the weekend. And that really puts things in perspective when you look at the conditions of the track here. There's sections of this track that are hard pack and they're going to hold up well, but there's other sections that obviously are going to get whooped out and choppy, and fitness is going to come into play for these guys real quick here as the track gets rougher. We're gonna see who's been doing their homework.
Johnny, you've been racing this track as an ATV racer for what, 18 of the 19 years, or has it been the 19 of the
19?
All 19 years you've lined up on the starting line out there. By comparison, this racetrack here in 2013, what is the major differences in it?
Honestly, a lot has changed here in terms of how, I guess we'll say, seasoned the property is. But it's such a great facility, and the GNCC track crew does such a great job of finding new parts of the facility to use and laying it out in different ways to keep it fresh. But a lot of I guess you would say, the feature attractions remain the same. I mean, you have the Ironman hill climb, the Twin Hills. I could be wrong, but if my memory serves me correctly, we've been using the Twin Hills since the first year we came here in one capacity or another, either up or down. So, that's 19 years of racing on those hills. Ironman Hill came into play, maybe a few years later, so, 10-plus years for sure of Ironman Hill. But this place holds a lot of prestige, not only with being the final round of the year, but also with championship battles coming in here, not just this weekend, but all the years in past. And it's a great track. We talked earlier on the starting line about how diverse the terrain here is. You've got flat, wide open cornfields that are just high speed. You've got dusty sections. You've got muddy sections. You've got more creek crossings here than probably any other round of the 13 race series. And then obviously we've got the famous hill climb. So plenty of diversity to throw at these guys, and it keeps them on their toes.
On their toes for sure, and the conditions, like you said, go from dry, hard-packed slick to a muddy spot here and there. And that's one thing I like about the Ironman GNCC. Not that a lot of the trails don't have it, but this particular facility seems to have just the right amount of everything. Rocks, you've got creek crossings and rocks and things that you got to go through. You got hill climbs you got to go through, mud holes you got to go through, open dusty fields, and now the motocross track even.
Yeah, and that's a great new addition here with the addition of the National Caliber motocross track. It adds a little bit of flair, and certainly curious to see what happens with that in the future. This track, like you said, it has a little bit of something for everybody, and anybody who's ever raced off-road, if you ride here, there's a section for you. Like I said, it covers everything.
It most certainly does. As we, I believe, are in lap 2 now, and working on lap number 2, we've got, last report it was KAILUB Russell, but we had a 15-second infraction, or a 15-second penalty.
Yeah, in conferring with the race officials, they said that it was a 15-second penalty for him starting his bike early. He didn't actually move. He didn't jump the start in any way, but he hit his button early, and his bike fired just before the flag. So they assessed him a 15-second penalty for that.
Yeah, and he didn't get the whole shot. I mean, he did get a decent start, but I'm sure that KAILUB was probably conscious of what happened. That's probably the reason that he didn't take off whenever the green flag flew the way, maybe gave everybody a split second longer to take off before he took off. But regardless, that 15-second penalty was assessed. It was assessed early in the race. Will it have any bearing, any effects whatsoever at the end of 3 hours? It's hard to say. A lot of times and oftentimes I would say no. But it could, and every inch, every second counts, especially whenever you get down to the nitty-gritty like this in a 2-point championship race in battle.
I would say the 15 seconds in and of itself may not have a effect on the outcome of the race. It's all going to be how KAILUB deals with it. If he looks at it as just another obstacle on the track, resets and goes back after it, tries to chase Charlie down and get to the lead and ultimately win this race, then it's not going to affect him at all. Hopefully it doesn't shake him off his game, because I'd like to see these guys battle to the end no matter who wins.
All righty, Johnny, we are 35 minutes and working on 36 minutes now into this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC, the 2013 13 season finale of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship. We've got Charlie Mullins, Jordan Ashburn, Paul Whibley, Josh Strang, and Caleb Russell, your top 5 as we roll through lap number 2. We'll be back with more of this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC here with GNCC Live on RacerTV.com right after this.
The Can-Am Renegade 1000 XXC with the most powerful engine in the industry. The Outlander 1000 XT with a redesigned chassis for unequal trail riding. The Commander 1000 Limited, the most equipped, luxurious side-by-side in the industry. The facts say it's the most advanced lineup out there. But the ride says it all.
What we got here at AOMC is a huge selection. You can get everything you need for your off-road bike.
We're here to support the sport. Customer service is our priority. We all ride, so trying to take care of our fellow riders.
Well, this is a perfect spot for it. We're on 32 acres here, right in the middle of Appalachia, prime riding area. Yeah, really anything KTM has in stock, we have it. We get it the next day.
What excites me the most is that even after 12 years, I feel like we're just getting started. Hi, this is Tanner Harding, and today we're going to take a walk around KAILUB's 2013 KTM 350 XCF. One of the coolest things about Caleb Russell's bike is it's pretty much all stock. You can go right into your KTM dealer and you can get an XC model, and it's great for trails, it's great for racing, it's a great all-around bike. So that's the 2013 KTM 350 XCF. I'm Tanner Harding. Thanks for checking it out.
And welcome back to the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. I'm Rodney Tomlin, joined with Johnny Gallagher, also with Jen Kenyon, out and about in the field. Going to be giving us some updates throughout the course of the day, where right now we are in lap number 2, 38 minutes, and approaching that 39-minute mark as we're looking at a shot of a very historical thing right there, Johnny Gallagher. We made mention of a motocross track, and that's something new, a new element to the Ironman GNCC. And people look at this track and they say, that doesn't look like an ordinary motocross track, and they're right.
Yeah, you know, you definitely don't see this around the corner at your local motocross track. I mean, it's well laid out. It's got a lot of large obstacles and big flowing turns, and I guess, you know, now would be a good time to tell everybody that National Motocross is coming to Indiana.
That's right. Last year, Kerry Coombs-Russell made the announcement that they were going to be bringing the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross National Championship to the great state of Indiana. And last year, believe it or not, they began working and doing a few little things to get things prepared. But in 2014, it will be a full-fledged motocross facility back there. And August 16th, round number 11 of the 2014 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross National Championship will be right here at the Ironman GNCC facility. So I think that's pretty good. Mark it down in your calendars. August 16th, round 11. Now, the whole schedule hasn't even been announced from MX Sports, but they did let the cat out of the bag on that.
You know, and it's really going to be cool to see all these Ironman fans. You know, GNCC racing, a lot of these people have grown up on it, like you said, 19 years. The locals here, they've been coming, they've been watching the motorcycles and the ATVs and the UTVs tear up the woods. Now they're going to get to see them tear up the motocross track with the pro motocross guys like Brian Villapoto and Ryan Dungey. And I really think the state of Indiana and surrounding communities is really going to embrace that event. It's unbelievable to see the number of fans that come out. I mean, this, in my opinion, I don't have any factual registration or through the gate numbers, but this event just completely dwarfs any other GNCC in terms of spectators. I mean, it's just a sea of people out there. When you're at the starting line, when you're walking through the fields, it just looks like droves of people. Like people are migrating somewhere. There's so many people walking around this facility, and it's great to see. And I'm anxious to come out. I'll come check out the National Motocross.
Oh yeah, I will too, for sure. I mean, it's only a great addition to something already great. I mean, here you got something nearly 2 decades strong, and as it gets ready to head into its 3rd decade, it boast something even bigger and better. You know, I mean, it's amazing, and I don't think we could have asked for a better place or anything to do this. The Shaver family here in Crawfordsville has been so welcoming. Not just the family, the friends of the family, the neighbors, the whole community. I mean, everybody steps in, pitches in to see that this Ironman GNCC is what it is, and we're looking at nearly 20,000 guests here this weekend. You know, and I mean that's a lot of people to be out there watching watching 12 miles of motorcycle racing.
Certainly, and like you said, you mentioned the community. And, you know, obviously, I've been following GNCC series for 30 years, and you know, to see the way that this Crawfordsville and surrounding communities welcome GNCC racing, and I'm sure they'll welcome the same for the Lucas Oil Motocross Series with open arms. They love racing. I mean, you know, not far away. We're just in the shadow of Indianapolis here. Obviously, many people would consider Indianapolis the home of speed, as they say, with Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, you know, with all of the fans that are here today and everything that goes on here in Indiana throughout the course of the year, they are definitely into racing, and they are definitely into GNCC racing. So they're treated to a battle so far here today. We did get to see a little shot of some of our top pros coming up the Twin Hills here, and just out of camera, it appeared to me that KAILUB may have been back in second behind Charlie, and then behind that group it was Paul Whibley, Jordan Ashburn, and those guys are there in third and fourth from what I could tell. But I'd be curious to see if we get a track update here and find out exactly what these guys, where they're at position-wise.
For sure, and like you mentioned, Russell back up to the number 2 spot. I think he dropped back as far as 5th at one point in this race. And as I was talking this morning, I was talking to him this morning, we were talking about the championship and whether or not he was going to have, or how much pressure was on him heading into this race. And he said that really he's not got so much pressure now. It was pressure he had back whenever he was looking at a 20-point deficit between he and Charlie Mullins for the national championships. Now it's just out there, go out and do what you know how to do, and what we've seen him do mostly lately is win races. And Jen Kenyon actually had a chance to catch up with him earlier today and talk with him prior to the final championship run here in 2013.
KAILUB, here we are at the final round of the 2013 season. It's a winner-take-all affair. Tell us what's going through your mind heading into this race today.
Yeah, it's you know, it seemed like a pretty high-pressure situation, but yeah, I'm not real worried about it. I just gonna go do what I know how to do, and that's ride a motorcycle. So, you know, I was in the same situation last year, and I didn't pull through, and you know, the kind of the circumstances I lost under, you know, those have been fixed. I was dealing with big arm pump issues last year, and you know, I had the arm pump surgery, so you know, that's not really an excuse anymore. So I'm glad I don't suffer from that, and you know, I'm just gonna go out there, do what I've done all year, and just try to stay up front. You know, my worst finish is a second, besides a DNF, and you know, I'm sure me and Charlie will find a way to the front and just try to be smart and smooth all day, and hopefully we can come away with a win.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you brought that up time and time again about last year's situation, and you can tell that you've really prepared yourself mentally and physically to make the right moves at the end of the season and really get yourself out front. So I think it's going to be a really interesting battle till the end.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it should be like just every other race this year. You know, me and him up front to battle to the end, so it should be good. And you know, I'm looking forward to it. The track looks fun, so I'm excited to actually race. And I think that's the biggest key is being ready and ready to have fun at what you're doing. So you know, I think that that should help out today. And like I said, the track looks really awesome, and it's not too muddy and it's not too dry, and it looks fun.
Yeah, it looks like we might have the perfect Ironman conditions out there. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yep, thank you.
Well, right now, KAILUB Russell continues to work on Charlie Mullins for the number 1 spot. And we've seen this scenario break down so many times, Johnny Gallagher. It's basically those two up front and everyone else back there left to sort it out for that 3rd place position. Amazing thing took place, I think, in Ohio, and Paul Whibley will be the first to admit it. Being able to pull off that podium position finish. He said after Charlie went by, he really expected to see more and more people start coming by, and he was pretty amazed at how he was able to do things that he couldn't do before the surgery, not even being bike fit, and that's what helped him finish so strong there in Ohio, and he's hoping for the same results again here today. And he did say, though, if he got up in the mix of things between those guys, he would back off and let those guys go at it because he didn't want to get in the middle of their championship battle.
You know, Paul's been in that position before with championship battles, and that shows his character and his his respect for those guys as racers. But I do feel like if Paul had the opportunity to get to the front and get to the lead and win the race and not be between those two, obviously I think he would do so. Like you said, last race with Paul coming back from a long time off with the summer break and then also missing the first few races back after injury and ultimately surgery to make himself healthier and stronger, it definitely showed that it did just that. Paul's always been a race win contender and championship contender, and earlier this year Paul was not taking anything away from him, but he was a mere shadow of his former self, and I think a lot of people had kind of thought maybe it was either burnout or whatever it may be. There was rumors and the early demise of Paul Whibley, and last race that's definitely not the case.
It's funny because he didn't really let on. It wasn't until probably only a couple races left to go that he actually admitted to me even that he had the groin injury, and it was a nagging injury that seemed to get worse and worse as time went on, and that they were headed to California to get surgery and stuff and things like that on it during the break. So it was kind of a surprise to me, but it did answer a lot of questions. And you look at Paul and you say, man, he's riding as hard as he can, and he's finishing third, but he just doesn't seem to have the edge that he had last year. What's missing? And the core strength. I mean, you got to think and you got to wonder if Paul Whibley can get back up on to speed next year, what it's going to be like in 2014 as our leaders now make their way into the pit sections now. This is our auxiliary pro pit section, and that is still Russell and Mullins up front running 1 and 2 right now, and I believe that is Mullins actually leading the affair, but they're basically nose to tail and in and out of those corners, Johnny.
Yeah, these two have got themselves to the front, and they want this championship battle to play out between them. And right now it seems Charlie's obviously the aggressor in the lead, and Caleb's kind of the hare chasing him down. And I don't know what's going to happen ultimately, obviously 2.5 hours from now, or 2 hours and 15 minutes, I guess. But right now these guys are pushing the pace early, and it looks like they want to put some distance between themselves and the rest of the field to ultimately fight this out between just the two of them.
Nearly 48 minutes now into this affair, and we are at 48 minutes as we check other portions of this under construction motocross facility / GNCC Mecca headquarters. I guess there's a lot of different things that you could call it. One thing that you can call it is history in off-road racing. I mean, and it's going to make a lot more. But a little over 48 minutes, and our leaders making their way in. Here they come now. And you can see how beautiful the trees are here. Look at the colors now. I mean, this is probably one of the most picturesque times that we've been here. We've seen these fall colors like this, not this deep and this bright. And these bright sunshiny skies are definitely affording a very beautiful view of this facility as our leaders check in for lap 2 complete now. Charlie Mullins out ahead 1.125 seconds of Caleb Russell.
Yeah, these guys, like we said, they distance themselves, and you can see them pushing. Both these guys are avid motocrossers. They practice a lot on motocross in the off-season, I'm sure, during the week as well. And, they'll put their skills to test on this national caliber motocross track here and try and put some more distance between themselves. Ultimately, I'm sure, these guys aren't working together. Charlie's certainly trying to get away from Caleb, and Caleb's clinging for everything he's worth. Looks like Paul there in third. So he's, again, putting himself in position right there in that battle.
Amazing. 21.9 seconds. We'll call it 22. Thad Duvall gets around Josh Strang after he went down in the pits there. And he is still holding on to a 4th place position. About 6 seconds off pace of Whibley right now. Josh Strang rounds out the top 5. About 5.6 seconds behind Thad Duvall. Lap times 25:16 for Charlie Mullins. Caleb Russell 25:18. I told you they'd be around 25. And then we had 25:34 for Paul Whibley, 25:29 for Thad Duvall. So Duvall's making up some time there on lap 2, it looked like. 25:42 for Josh Strang. That's the way the lap times are looking. And we're looking at well over 20 seconds lap time difference between Mullins and the 5th place ride of Josh Strang right now. But a lot of that could probably be accredited to that little get off there as he kind of overshot the turn in the pits.
Yeah, with Josh going down in the pro pits, obviously, first lap through there, no one else has raced that section of the track yet, so it was probably slick. There's no berm built up there yet, carried a little too much speed, and ultimately ended up in the advantage. So, but he'll recover from that and see if he can get his way back up in to fight for a podium position or possibly a win.
Championship point standings right now, 333 points for Charlie Mullins. KAILUB Russell, 330. 3 point, I thought there was only 2, but 2 or 3 points. When you get down to this nitty-gritty like this right here, Johnny, 2, 3 points, it's all the same, man. I mean, it's virtually a tie. And amongst these two, it boils down to if they stay out front in the 1 and 2 spots, it's a matter of who wins the race wins the championship.
Right, and that's actually the points as they run right now if they would finish where they finished today. KAILUB technically, as of before today's race, had a 2-point lead.
That's where
there's
the
a
difference
5-point swing. So if Charlie would win the race today, Russell would finish second. There would be a 3-point advantage to Charlie, and ultimately he would win the championship. So that's a little graphic just to show exactly how things would add up if it finished the way it were today.
10-4. And also, speaking of graphics, you might see this pop up in your screen right now, and that, of course, is about tweeting your podium predictions to GNCC Live. And what that'll do, of course, is give you an opportunity to win $250 in AMSOIL product. Winner will be chosen randomly at the end of the race day today. But get your Twitters out, folks, and hashtag it GNCC Live and tweet your podium finish predictions. Johnny, we are heading through the pro pits. Mullins, Russell, Whibley, Duval, Strang, your top 5. Jordan Ashburn, who got the whole shot in $250 all balls whole shot award, is running 6th. Rory Mead, who'll be heading to Japan here in a few weeks, is running 7th. Ricky Russell is running 8th. Chris Bach in 9th, and Takeshi Koikeda, former JNCC champion, running back on the number 10 spot. You know, Ricky Russell's a rider that we really know very little about. He comes out of Washington. He's a part, if I'm not mistaken, of that Ampro Yamaha team out there, and gets a little support from them, if nothing else. And Ricky, you know, virtually coming into this this series, not going to say an unknown because I've heard of Ricky and I know who Ricky is, but coming in as an unknown GNCC racer, he's held some pretty good battles this season and rode a pretty good consistent season, it looks like.
Yeah, Ricky's had a good year. You know, he came in, like you said, kind of unknown, and he ultimately kind of cut his teeth on GNCC racing in Florida and then got stronger from there. Had a great first part of the season and then actually has come through injuries of his own. You know, he's a young guy out here with his girlfriend. They're kind of making their way and trying to set themselves up for a future in GNCC racing and off-road racing in general. And they've been doing a great job, and it's good to see him having some success and up in there battling with the top riders today.
Taking a look at a little early race NBC footage now as we get a little deeper into the wooded sections. You can see some of those creek crossings you folks talk about. This one got some sharp drops off into it, Johnny. I don't know if you guys went through this section. This looks like a bike-only section, actually.
No, actually, we did run that section. Our main line was off to the left a little further. So, yeah, these guys are taking a different line than what we were running. You can see kind of the track cut in there where we had come back in. So there's a lot of obstacles out here on the Ironman track, and a lot of them are ravines. You know, over time, erosion and the water flow of things has you know, kind of carved this landscape out, and you know, that's the terrain that you're seeing now with the hills, the ravines, and here comes the XC2 guys, and you know, they're just real aggressive, just kind of slamming it through there, and that's young enthusiasm there.
No doubt. And speaking of young enthusiasm, right now the young enthusiast in the XC2 Pro Lights, he's Andrew DeLong, the Far Husqvarna team rider, has established himself as the leader at the end of 2 laps of racing. Again, that was NBC footage, raw footage from NBC Sports. Jason Thomas running in 2nd, Shane Hufford in 3rd, and the young Grant Baylor doing all he needs to do to win a national title here and make history. The 16 runs in 4th, while Scotty Grills, the 18 machine, is running in 5th. 6th, Lane Michaels. 7th, Trevor Bollinger. Now, Trevor has been a top amateur rider from the 4-stroke A lights class, if I'm not mistaken, and has moved up now into the XC2 Pro Lights. Travis Coy, the 452, running in 8th. 9th, Christopher Douglas. Ian Blythe rounds out your top 10 in the XC2 Pro Lights now.
You know, one interesting thing you mentioned there, Rodney, you mentioned Grant Baylor doing all he can do. I noticed in a shot we saw a few moments ago there on the moto track, Stu Baylor was actually right behind Grant. So Stu obviously started in the XC1 class a minute ahead. Grant's caught him and passed him. And Stu's been very aggressive, if you will, towards what Grant needs to do to win this championship. So, and we see Stu struggle a little bit on the wall climb. That's another hill altogether. We've got the Twin Hills, we've got Ironman Hill, and then I call that one the wall. I don't know if it has an official name or not, but it's straight up and down, and the way around is quite a bit longer. You can see it off to the left of the shot there, but that is vertical. That is not a 45 or a 70 or even an 81-degree angle. That is a straight up and down 90-degree wall. Those guys are jumping up there, and but as I said, you know, Stu's right behind Grant, pushing him, and I'm sure he's going to keep him honest and keep his speed up and make sure he gets to the position he needs to try and win this championship. He won't let up on him, I promise you that.
No, he will not. He is very critical, probably the most critical person that Grant Baylor could ever know. And, you know, Stu is really enthusiastic about Grant's program this year. You know, he hates to see Grant break some of the records that he had broken, but I think if anybody's going to break him, he'd rather see his baby brother do it than anybody.
Certainly, and I would have to say there's a lot of friendly rivalry, camaraderie between those two brothers, as there has been, you know, many other family members that raced against each other throughout the years. But those two being so close in age and ultimately coming up through the same program with KTM and racing each other, it's been exciting to see how they've, you know, won championships and won races. And, you know, if Grant can ultimately come through today and win this championship, you know, he'll join his brother on a list of some of the top riders in our series that have won that XC2 title in the past.
Well, the KTM brothers, other than Baylor and Baylor, Grant and Stu, we got a couple of brothers from other mothers of Mullins and Russell right now that are riding those KTMs. We talked with and saw Jen talking with KAILUB Russell earlier this morning about this championship, and you can see how calm, cool, and collected he was. I think maybe the start might have reflected a little bit with a little bit of an antsiness on the start, but that's eagerness to get out there and get this race started. Charlie Mullins, pretty much the same way, and Jen had a chance to talk to him about this championship as well.
Charlie Mullins, I finally got a chance to catch up with you. I see you've got all kinds of fans here at the Ironman, which is really awesome. You're heading into the final round here. It's a close championship battle. Take us through what's going through your mind in the final moments before you head out there to race.
A little bit of nerves, definitely a big race, but you know, it's been a great year for me, and all I can do is just go out and do my best. And you know, I'm at peace, second, first. It's just as long as I give it my best today and know that I didn't leave anything on the table, you know, I'll be happy. But I really want to win, though. I want to win both championships in the year, so that's my ultimate goal. But you know, we'll find out here in a few hours, I guess.
That's right. You've already got the National Enduro Championship for 2013. It's a winner-take-all affair here this afternoon. You've been in this position before. You know how to handle the pressure. You've had these kinds of things on your shoulders before.
Yeah, it's you know, just another race. You know, I'm a little nervous, excited, so we'll you know, get it underway, and hopefully, you know, we have a good race, no mechanicals, just a good clean race, and the best man wins. So looking forward to it, and just getting it done. I guess it'll be the biggest relief. So I guess we'll do my best and hopefully get the championship today.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the most highly anticipated moments we've had in GNCC racing. I think everybody's excited to get this one underway.
Yeah, then it'll be nice once it's over. And I got till March to relax, so all I got to do is ride as hard as I can for 3 hours and kick back and relax the rest of the winter.
Sounds good.
Ride as hard as I can for 3 hours and kick back and relax for the winter. I find that kind of hard.
Hold on. If you believe that, I got some swampland in Florida I want to sell you.
Exactly.
It's got a few alligators, but nothing too bad. I'll sell it to you real cheap. Yeah, Charlie, kick back for the rest of the winter. I don't think so. No doubt he'd certainly take some time, as will KAILUB, you know, regardless winning the championship or not. You know, those guys, along with the rest of all the top riders and amateur riders as well, you're going to take some time to regroup after this season, but certainly it's going to be a little more fun to regroup if you've got that championship plate hanging on the mantle.
So we got that steed on his hind legs back there. What was going on? They were trying to get some water out of it, right?
And here they come. They're approaching Ironman Hill for this will be their
There's
third time
Charlie.
up, and Charlie right up at no problem.
Oh!
I almost spoke too soon. KAILUB up as well. No real issues, just kind of pops right up there. But the creek right before Ironman Hill, in my opinion, especially from my experience yesterday, presents more of a problem. I believe Paul might have made up some time there, Rodney.
It looks like it. He's closed up some gap there, and right behind him is, was that Duvall? And
no, that appeared to be Ashburn.
Ashburn back at it again.
Yeah, it's things definitely got mixed up. I'm almost. Yeah, Jordan obviously on the charge made up some time and got back up in there. But as we were discussing, you know, the creek right before this this Ironman hill climb is actually sometimes a better indicator of how gnarly things can be here rather than the hill itself. That creek before can be, I was off it yesterday, unfortunately, due to a miscommunication between myself and one of the spotters that was there, pointing me which line to take. I was ultimately standing chest deep in water there.
Nuh-uh.
So, yeah, I swear. I wouldn't lie to you, and I still have the chills to prove it. So it was cold, it was nasty, and if you hit the right line, you could just breeze right through it. It's maybe mid calf or knee deep at the most, and these guys would come through without any real trouble. But if you get just a few inches off your line, you could end up chest deep in water, and ultimately you saw the guy there with his bike stood up on end, and his steed was having some issues, as you said. He filled his motor full of water, and they were trying to drain it out.
Wow, and the neat thing about it, the amazing thing about it is sometimes if you know the little tricks out there on the trail, you can actually get that thing back running, back in operation.
Yeah, I had some experience with that earlier this year. I actually did a local race on a dirt bike myself, borrowed a friend's dirt bike, and actually it was one of Chris Bach's bike, one of his old Yamahas, and dropped it in a creek and filled it full of water and had to do exactly that, stand it up and drag it and drain the water out of it. And when it was all said and done, it was a Yamaha, so it was no worse for the wear. Ran like a top and finished the race.
Back there we watched, oh man!
And that was Jed Haynes.
Yeah, Jedediah Haynes clipped that tree, I guess, didn't he?
Yeah, and that appears to be a shot from a little bit earlier in the race.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show, that's one of the best riders in the world, and clipped the tree, and he can't even stand on that hill, so he's going to have to slide all the way back down that hill, drag his bike back down. Well, here we go, and here's the
I think that's
fleas,
live.
Hill fleas. But that's, it just goes to show how difficult that section is and how steep that is, and, these guys are incredible athletes to be able to do this and, drag these 250-plus pound motorcycles up these hills with them, and you can see the spectators and the fans. There's Maria Forsberg, our women's champion, down there pointing lines, and all the crew members and everybody else there to make sure that these guys get through as best they can.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, that was an earlier shot. That is some footage coming from the Ironman Hill. Jedediah Haynes, 2 minutes, 45 seconds back. He lost nearly 3 minutes after that little incident on the Ironman Hill, but the important thing is that he continues to roll. As we roll through lap number 3, Charlie Mullins continues to lead KAILUB Russell, Paul Whibley in second. Thad Duvall, at last report, was in fourth when they came through the finish line. Josh Strang also, but it looked like Strang and Ashburn may be moving up and dicing it out some for the fourth place position right now. Rory Mead still holding pretty steady back there aboard the number 3 machine. Ricky Russell and Chris Bach also riding strongly there in the 8th and 9th place positions, and we saw a great battle shaping up there on lap 2 between Takeshi Koikata, Robert Varnstrom, Adam Bonur, and I believe Stu Baylor was just a few seconds back behind those guys. But nonetheless, it was tight there at one point, but whenever they made their way around here at the end of lap 2, it opened back up. One has to wonder, though, here on lap number 3, if we're going to see it start to get back to what we saw there at the end of lap number 2. Or during lap number 2, I should say. 25:16 lap times where Mullins, Russell at 25:18, 25:34 for Whibley, 25:29 for Thad Duvall. Josh Strang turned a 25:42. So that gives you an idea of what the lap times are looking like as far as the top 5 are looking like in the XC1 Pro class. Again, after 2 in the XC2 Pro Lights class, we got Andrew DeLong, Jason Thomas, Shane Hufford. Grant Baylor is 4th, Scotty Grills in 5th. Lane Michael, Trevor Bowen are 6th and 7th, Travis Coy is 8th, Chris Douglas in 9th, and Ian Blythe rounding out the top 10.
Oh, you know what? We got a new leader right here. Looks like Dave Russell's going to go for the twin wheels. Mullins is right behind him. These guys they're going to put all their moves out there at the beginning of the years. They're not going to, it doesn't look like KAILUB wants to wait and play cat and mouse with Charlie. He's going to try and push the pace, and be interesting to see how far Paul and Josh and Thad are back now from these top 2 and see where they fit into the mix and ultimately maybe get in the middle of this championship battle themselves.
For sure, and that switching around the quiet confidence, the Thad Duvall moving up Josh Strang also holding steady up there in a top 5 position as we watch these riders make their way by. Duvall, Strang, Ashburn, I believe, was back in the number 5 spot, so we're pretty much back to where we were. Whibley dropped back, huh? So Whibley was running 30, drops back to 5th. So I guess that means, does that move Josh? Or excuse me, that's the battle for 3rd now between Duvall and Josh.
Yeah, it appeared when they went up the hill there, it was, you saw KAILUB took the straight up line, Charlie took a little bit safer a line around to the right, maybe banging or hoping to take a little gamble that KAILUB would have stayed and get a pass. And then Thad was the straight up line as well with Josh Strang behind him, and then Paul Whibley was right on Josh's rear wheel. So you got the 3, 4, and 5 spot, nose to tail pushing each other. You got the 2 leaders out front, also your 2 championship contenders or combatants, if you will.
Well, new leader Caleb Russell leading Charlie Mullins as we're an hour and 5, now 6 minutes into this race. Paul Whibley dropping from 3rd to 5th as Thad Duvall and Josh Strang battled it out for the number 3 position. 1 hour and 6 minutes into this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC, and we'll be back with more GNCC Live right after this.
300 searing degrees. 750 pounds of metal twisting torque. 900 hard charging horses. You will never punish your motor oil like this. But it's good to know you could. AMSOIL. Push it to the limit.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of apparel and gear to dirt bike accessories and OEM parts. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
VP fuels are the most consistent race fuel. It gives us the best throttle response. Any racer using pump gas should consider using VP. It offers bigger performance gains for your money than any other hard part. And the tuning change is easy when you switch to one of VP's entry-level fuels. We will not be as successful without VP.
VP Racing Fuels, purpose-built to take the lead and keep you there.
And welcome back here as we roll through and into the 2nd hour of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship here on GNCC Live at RacerTV.com. Right now, Caleb Russell has moved into the lead, and a updated look at the championship point standings. If the race finishes the way that it is now, Johnny, we would have, once again, a 7-point lead for Caleb Russell, and he would take the national championship 335 to 328.
Yeah, you know, and as we've said so many times, this really does come down to a winner-take-all affair, and ultimately whichever one of these guys not only wins, but finishes in front of the other. You know, it sounds like we've got a 3-rider battle just 20 seconds back from 1 and 2, and, you know, any of those guys could get up in there in the mix, but, you know, whoever, out of Russell and Mullins, whoever finishes ahead of the other is ultimately coming away here with the coveted number 1 plate.
Well, new leader there on that lap, about the 7.5-mile marker, I think, is where the lead change took place. And I'm sure that they've got some great stories to tell about that. While they get things sorted out here, Johnny, I'm going to take a look at the rest of our field real quick. Do a quick Parts Unlimited top 10 rundown for the folks. Parts Unlimited, supporting the sport at every level in every way. Make sure whenever you go to buy parts that your dealer stocks parts from Parts Unlimited. In the XC2 Pro Lights class, Andrew DeLong leading after 2 with Jason Thomas in 2nd, Shane Hufford in 3rd, Grant Baylor in 4th, it's Scotty Grills in 5th, Lane Michael, the 26, running in 23 and running in 6th, the 739 and Trevor Bollinger moving up from the Four-stroke A lights class is 7. Travis Coy in 8th. Chris Douglas in 9th. And Ian Blythe rounds out your top 10. Open A class, Dill Murphy moving into the lead of that one. Huntington, Indiana native. Minute and 15-second lead over Bob Dunlap. Brady Myers running in 3rd now as the 312 of Ted Mullins is 4th. Timothy Murphy is 5th. Big Jim, actually this little Jim Steiner. 365, James Steiner Jr. running in 6th. Nathan Thornhill, the number 7 spot. He's riding the 58 machine. The 260 of Tommy Mack is in 8th. Zach Dotson, the 512, is 9th. And 441, Ryan Prince rounds out the top 10. 258 class 123, Austin Lee from Bedford, Indiana. 32-second lead over Mike Witkowski. Austin Lee out of Bedford, Indiana. Witkowski out of North Liberty, Indiana. Anthony Stone out of Reedsville, West Virginia. The 552 runs in 3rd. Then we've got Mike Leonard, the 581 in 4th. Spencer Berkey, the 268 is 5th. Alex Witkowski, the 579 is 6th. 7th, 436. Hunter Hutchinson. 8th is the 385. Eric Douglas. 9th, the 90. Kirk Geisler. And rounding out the top 10, KAILUB Ward. Preston Wheeler leading the 200A class out of New Palestine, Indiana. Tristan Landrum from Nelsonville, Ohio, the 704 running 2nd. Ryan Slopko from Londonderry in Ohio, the 215 is 3rd. And Tate Gitteraz is out of Martinsville, Indiana. The 371 is 4th in that 200A class. Four-stroke A lights, Craig DeLong, the younger brother of Andrew DeLong. Andrew DeLong, the number 7 in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Craig, the 46 in the four-stroke A lights, is running the lead in that. Andrew France, 983, is 2nd. 3rd, Alex Teagard, the 309. Jake Froman, the 439, is running at 4th. Luke Parsons, 300, is 5th. 720, Derek Spangler in 6th. 7th, 262, Cole Kirkhoff. 8th, Tristan Sumbo, the 170. Josh Keys, the 472, is 9th. And Keith Grant, the 435, rounds out your top 10. Vet A plus 30 class, Jeff Craig leading Dustin Gibson. Good to see Dustin out of Van Leer, Tennessee with us in the number 2 spot. Curtis Ryan in 3rd. Shotgun Sean Remington in the number 4 spot, while TJ Ernie runs 5th. Denny Dooley running in the number 6 spot. Brian Johnson in 7th. Steve Bond is 8th. Darren Chapman is 9th. And Big Jim Steiner, James Steiner Sr., the 75, rounds out the top 10 in the Vet A class. Senior A class, Scott Daubert leading John Roth. Walker Ledke running in the number 3 spot. Mark LaSalle is 4th. Todd Gearing is 5th. Chris Miller in 6th. Tim Pritchett 7th. Troy Stanley 8th. Larry Sylvia 9th. Bob Bergman rounds out the top 10. Up next, Senior A 40. That was Senior A there. I keep bouncing back to it. Open B, Blake Rynch, Ryan Inman, Joseph McCarty, Andrew Bolton, and Damian Madison, your top 5, while Brandon Risch, Brandon Peterson, Johnny Schoolcraft, Joe Sariski, and Nick Nyman rounds out your top 10. It's Open B, 250B, Vance Francis, Ben Parsons, Mason Pratt, Colton Wilkes, and JoJo Bowden, your top 5, while Austin Williams runs 6th, Matthew Donahue in 7th, Garrett Kirby is 8th, 9th, Colin Keegan, and Austin Trotter rounds out the top 10. In the 200B class, William Ruckle, Brandon Gearing, Kyle Pettis, 1, 2, and 3. There's 5 seconds separating 1st and 2nd, and a minute and 50 seconds then back to Pettis, running in 3rd. Braden Moore is 4th. 5th, Jeremy Custer, 6th. Cope Beckert, Sam Shaver running in 7th. Zachary Ferentz in 8th. John Hugel running in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, the 445 of Chance Trilliga. Four-stroke B lights class is Cody Jeffers out front of Hunter Maddox. Drake Lineback running in the number 3 spot. Devin Burks is 4th. Fourth. Logan Poole in 5th. Tanner Bartlett is 6th. And our leaders now at the finish line region, Johnny Gallagher. And it looks like, wow, man, these guys settling into a groove out there.
Yeah, you know, we've seen this so many times this season. KAILUB out front, Charlie behind him, or we've seen the mirror image with Charlie out front and KAILUB behind him. But the ultimate turnout seems to be the same. Oh, what just happened? Oh, that was a lapper. I saw the same thing. We had some people in the CarMate studios here that we thought we were witnessing a pass for the lead, but actually it was a lapper that kind of got in the mix there. So we've seen this so many times this season. These two are out front. They're battling. They're pushing the pace, and they're pulling away from the rest of the field. So they're distancing themselves, and now we're going to, as we approach, nearing the halfway point of this race, these guys are starting to settle into their pace and their groove, and here we've got Thad coming in third and Josh Strang behind him, and these guys are fighting for overall positions as well. And like we talked about with deals up and these guys trying to negotiate the best position for themselves for next year.
For sure. I talked with Duval earlier today, and he was telling me that he has nothing, absolutely nothing lined up for the 2014 season. So he's kind of in hopes that either A, somebody will pick him up or something will develop here pretty soon. And I know right now, in my opinion, if someone could just help fund the program he's got going right now, I think he's got a great championship combination with being able to keep that old school and kind of grassroots there with his dad in control of the helm right now.
Yeah, you know, they've done a great job this year, you know, winning races and being in the mix so many times, so many podiums this year. Thad's an excellent rider, and he's surrounded with people that are comfortable with him, that he's comfortable with, and he's certainly got the talent to win races and the speed. You know, this year it seems that Charlie and KAILUB have distanced themselves, and, you know, just like they have in this race, they've done a little bit of that this year, and we see them coming into pit in front of the KTM semi there, and I'm sure they're going to pit together and probably get out together and keep pushing the pace, but we need to stress the fact that these guys are certainly not working together. They are out there trying to beat each other and ultimately decide which one of those two machines walks away with the #1 plate at the end of the year.
Hey, man, my old man report, Phil Smith, who is 44 years old, running the XC2 Pro Lights after winning the Senior A-Class Championship. I think he finished in 14th place in the XC2 Pro Lights last race. He opens up after 2 laps here. He is in the 23rd place position. I'm going to keep an eye on this old guy, see how well he does throughout the course of the race. Don't be surprised to see him top 15 when it's all said and done.
Old guys get stronger as the races go on. That's a known fact. I can speak from experience on that one. You know, as the race starts off, a lot of these guys have a lot of speed and a lot of enthusiasm. You know, we saw that XC2 Lights class coming through the one ravine section on the first lap, and those guys were just bouncing themselves into the other side, and, you know, they weren't scared to hurt themselves. They just wanted to get through there fast. A guy like Phil Smith there, he's going to take his time, pick a good line, save some energy, and all that saved energy adds up at the end of a race.
Well, pit stops are happening now here in the XC1 Pro pits as they've made their way around for 3. Paul Whibley, who was 5th place, in and out of the pits now, taking a gas and goggle stop there. And, you know, I got to say, Paul looked, I'm not going to say Paul looked like he was under any pressure or anything, but Paul did seem and appear a little more stressed today than I have seen him all season long, as a matter of fact. Even on the days that I thought Paul would look stressed, look a little intense there. I think he's got a little higher expectations for himself than he did heading into Ohio a couple weeks ago.
It sure must have been tough for Paul coming back from that injury and that time off. I mean, he certainly believes in his skills and believes in his program, but at some point you have to wonder, when you've been away from the racetrack for that long and you haven't been in the mix, where you stack up. Well, 2 weeks ago in St. Clairsville, Ohio, Paul proved that, you know, he was a race contender for race wins and ultimately trying to set himself up to be a championship contender for 2014 once again. So I wouldn't think you're wrong at all in saying that he probably had a little higher expectations coming into today, and you know, he wants to be up in there mixing it up with with Charlie and KAILUB, and you know, he's obviously doing well here at the beginning, but you know, he probably needs to pick it up a little bit to get on that podium if he wants to be in there in that mix battling with those guys.
For sure. Taking a look at the gaps in the lap times, just to give you an idea of what's happening there. KAILUB Russell, a 25:10 lap time last time around. Charlie Mullins, a 25:13. Duval, a 25:36. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 or so seconds, or several seconds. I think it's like 23 seconds still slower than Mullins and Russell, but that's added up now to 52-second gap between second and third. And as we look back to the battle for third, it's Duval, Strang, and Paul Whibley. Now, Whibley before that pit stop was only 2 seconds behind Josh Strang, and Josh Strang was only a second or so behind Thad Duval. So you got to wonder. I didn't see what the rest of those guys did as far as their pit stops, but you got to wonder what that did. And maybe that was a sense of urgency we were looking at in Paul, that maybe those guys didn't pit, maybe they went on. He got maybe a little bit panicked, thinking, I don't want to let these guys get too far ahead.
Yeah, we saw that shot there at the end of the pro pits, and it appeared that Paul had lost a little bit of ground in the pits, but you know, maybe it wasn't the sense of urgency so much as it, you know, it was the sense of calm. I mean, Paul, and Andrew DeLong having a little bit of trouble getting his Husky started there in the pits. I believe he's still the XC2 leader. I see Jason Thomas's crew anxiously awaiting him. So it appears that DeLong is still leading that XC2 Pro Lights class. But with Whibley, you know, he's got championships under his belt multiple times. You know, he's won countless races. You know, he's got the composure he needs to, you know, keep himself rolling and get himself back up into podium contention. Just those few seconds he may have lost in the pits aren't going to affect him in the grand scheme of things today.
So Caleb Russell, Charlie Mullins, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Paul Whibley, all vying for podium position finishes today. Jordan Ashburn, who got the $250 all-ball bearing hole shot award, running back in 6th. It's Meade in 7th, Chris Bach 8th, Ricky Russell in 9th, and Takeshi Koikata, the former JNCC champion, rounding out the top 10. Hey, if you want to follow your riders or follow one of your favorite riders in GNCC racing, you can do it easily by texting the word sub, SUB, followed by your rider's number to m@gncclive.com. You can check your rider's status, text, that's a one-time text, I believe, and top 20 overall or class statuses can be done through what you see on the screen here, texting C to m@gncclive, and the system will respond to a list of class codes, and you reply with class code C, whatever the class may be. So, text C to m@gncclive for overall and class statuses reports, and check a rider's status. It's m@gncclive. So follow along and keep up to date with everything that we have available for you here in the GNCC Racing Nation. An hour and 21 minutes, a little over that now, rolling through this one. Duvall still holding on to the number 3 spot, while Josh Strang is in the number 4 spot. What's going on there? Oh, okay, that's Lane Michael, right?
Yeah, we have Lane Michael in the pits, and it appears he's pointing the wrong direction, so maybe missed his pit and came back to top out for fuel. They probably let him know he wasn't going to make it another lap with the fuel he had, so he had to, it looks like they did a little jogging to catch him, and he turned around and met him part ways and, you know, got on his way.
There's Stu Baylor in the pits now as he's, they're actually looking at that bike. Is he dripping something at the bottom of that bike?
Yeah, we have Jen over there, so let's see if maybe she can get the scoop on what's going on over here with Stu.
Stu, what do we got going on over here in the KTM pits?
I ripped off a shifter, so guess we're going to try to get another one on. My wrist is giving out, so just go out there and ride a little bit more.
Can you tell us what the track conditions are like?
It's rough. There's a lot of lines out there. That's kind of how I got separated the first lap. You know, the guys have some good lines. I only got to walk about half the track, but it's they're just everywhere. I mean, you don't really know where to go, and it changes lap by lap. So, you know, it's hard to pick the same one every time.
All right, Stu Baylor said there's a lot of lines out there. There's so many different places you can go. Rodney, you heard it right here firsthand from Stu himself.
That's right. Thanks a lot. Good way to attack there, Jen. Love that, man. And that's the way we like to see that. Stu giving us the rawness of what it's like off the track there. Rip the shifter off, and they're trying to work on that. Here's some footage from earlier today. NBC Sports raw footage. This, I believe, yeah, down by Ironman Hill. There's the big bridge. And that's where the zip code, the new zip code, will be beginning here in the Crawfordsville area. There's some of the hill fleas. There's a 120 machine having some problems and issues. I believe that's one of our A riders, quite possibly. And Johnny, watching this footage right here, you can see these guys. Some of them have their struggles. Others make it up quite easily. But regardless, it's a lot of fun for these spectators on at the base of Ironman Hill and scattered all around Ironman Hill. I mean, they've got buses. They're bussing them in. They transport them from up here at the main pits 3 or 4 miles down the road to the Ironman Hill, and that place fills up with literally thousands of people.
Yeah, there's so much going on out there at Ironman Hill, and all of those people there are hill fleas, and they're doing everything that they possibly can to help get those guys up the hill. It's steep, it's tough, it's rough. You know, and these guys, some of them make it look easy. Some of them you can really see exactly what they're going through to get up that wall that is Ironman Hill. And like we said, dragging that water out of the creek, you know, it only makes it tougher, and it's going to get tougher as the day goes on.
Josh Strang running back in the number 4 spot behind Thad Duvall, a former Grand National Cross Country champion. He's got a current GNCC champion, the 2012 champion right behind him. And amazingly, man, I mean, we got 3 GNCC champions right there with us, and we've got 2 XC2 champions in the top 5. That's the way it all breaks down. But, you know, Josh String, I mean, he came into this season, again, with basically a major wall and a major hurdle to try to get over, coming from a full-on factory ride with the guidance of Rodney Smith and Lori Smith and the Team Suzuki over there to virtually, literally on his own. I mean, he had some big adjustments, but I think that all in all, Josh Strang is pretty satisfied with the way this year turned out and the kind of support that he has. And Jen Kenyon actually caught up with him and spoke about it this morning.
All right, Josh, you've made your full return to GNCC for almost the entire 2013 season. Talk about how it's been for you to make that jump back into this series and what this last round means to you.
Yeah, it's been a good year for me. The results-wise, it's been up and down, but the coming back has been more difficult than I thought it might have been. It's funny how much you lose just in a year off from doing these races. They're so tough and hard to be competitive in. It was more difficult than I thought originally, and I finally feel like I'm pretty much back to where I was at, struggling a little bit, like I said, up and down results, but it's been good. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, AMSOL, Maxis, Moose Racing, those guys have helped me out and helped fund my program this year, and without those guys I couldn't do anything like this, so I really appreciate all the help I got, and even from everyone at GNCC. They get me here on Pro Row and get my sponsors out here for everyone to see. And this last race, I wish all the races were like this. They're getting more and more popular every year, every race, but this one's always so cool to come to. There's always so many people out walking the track and watching. It's really good for our sport.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fans, especially out there at Ironman Hill we saw yesterday in the ATV race. Is that pretty exciting when you have all those people out there? If anything goes wrong at all, you've got tons of people to help you out.
Yeah, it's good and bad. I mean, we are allowed to walk the track now when the ATVs are racing, so we went out there, man, there's people just everywhere, and it's crazy. But for us, it's good. Sometimes they can get in, like, you can move off the main line a little bit, and sometimes there's so many people you can't even get off the main line. So sometimes it's a pain, but yeah, if you ever get stuck, there's people there pulling you up straight away. So I just spent the first lap of the morning race helping people up the hill. So hopefully, if I get stuck today, that someone will return the favor for me.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm sure there's a lot of Josh Strang fans out here in Indiana. Good luck out there today.
Thank you.
And, of course, like we say, Josh having a rather phenomenal season, all things considered, coming off of that 1 year of injury and injury-laden after losing the championship, and just a number of things, just trying to get back to the East Coast from the West Coast to go back to GNCC racing, and to be able to pull off that feat and to put together the efforts that he has, it's a pretty amazing feat, no doubt. Got some amazing feats going on all around the racetrack right now, and one thing that is going on is, well, the heart of it all is happening down there in the pits right now. Jen Kenyon is standing by down there with a report from our pits.
That's right, Rodney. I'm down here in the VP Racing Fuels Pro Row. I'm joined here at the...
Well, it sounds like you might have to move out of the way. That speaker she might be a little bit too close to a speaker there. So if we can readjust this particular interview, we might have a little bit. Yeah, we can hear you fine, Jay.
All right, let me move a little bit away from that speaker there. Like I said before, I'm joined here by Fred Andrews Racing. Man, that speaker is squeaking away. I'm gonna send it back up to you, Rodney. We'll get some things figured out down here, and then we'll get back to it.
All right, 10-4. Sorry about that. So while Jen, we're doing double duty here, Jen and I are not only announcing for RacerTV.com and GNCC Live, but also this also goes across the public address system, and it makes it a little difficult sometime whenever we get located logistically just in the wrong place. But regardless, Jen will have an update with Fred Andrews coming up here in a moment. So watching this one unfold right now, an hour and 28 minutes. We're approaching the halfway point of this, and we'll be taking a Mid-State Chevy halfway report look at things coming up here in a few moments. But right now we're watching this finish line region. We now go over to the Twin Peaks region, where leaders are due here at the finish line in about 10.5 minutes and should be rolling through this section of the race course probably within the next 5 or so. And last check we had, KAILUB Russell was leading Charlie Mullins. With Thad Duvall in the number 3 spot, Josh Strang in 4th, And also Josh Strang back then in number 4 ride with Paul Whibley in 5th, Jordy Ashburn in 6th, Roy Mead in 7th, Chris Bach in 8th, Ricky Russell in 9th, and Takeshi Koiketa in 10th. So watching this Twin Hills area right now of the racetrack. Pros just came through actually a couple moments ago. Don't think there was any change. Russell, Mullins, Duvall, Strang, Whibley, Ashburn, I think is what we're looking at. So right now as we watch this one unfold, we approach the 1 hour and 31-minute mark now of this race. XC2, Andrew DeLong, Jason Thomas running 1 and 2. Former teammates, Shane Huffer back in 3rd. Grant Baylor is still 4th after the end of 3. Baylor turning a 26.46, doesn't appear to be pushing the envelope a whole lot. I think that Baylor is basically in survival mode today, with Scotty Grills back in 5th lane, Michael 6th, Bollinger due to the XC2 Pro Lights Class 7th, Travis Coy 8th, Ian Blythe 9th, and Derek Allen rounding out the top 10. Well, folks, as we watch this race begin to develop, we really are kind of setting the stage for what the last hour, I think, is going to hold for us here at AMSOIL Ironman GNCC Racing. And another exciting thing to point out is the fact that the stage got started being set early this morning whenever we started out with our youth racing. As always in GNCC, we like to do it grassroots style here, and yet again today we had another great battle shape up amongst a few of our youth riders out there, and of course when it was all said and done, well, the dust kind of settled and our champion of this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC came out on top.
Braxton, congratulations on your 6th overall win here in the 2013 season. It's the last race of the year. It's got to feel pretty good to get that class championship wrapped up.
Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't really figure I'd have it until, because the field straightaways, they were so fast. I just couldn't hang with Cole. My bike wouldn't hang with him, and he would get so far on the straightaways I couldn't really catch him in the woods. I mean, I was driving into the corners hard as I could, a little bit harder than he could. And he failed, made a couple mistakes. I never made no mistakes. I just kept a level head, and I just actually held it and actually got the win.
Talk about the track conditions out there. It's a little bit chilly, but it looks like the track's pretty awesome right now.
Well, it's kind of weird because like some places got mud and it's almost like a dust and powder sand, and it's real hard to get used to it so fast in a 5-mile course. So it's gonna be tough.
It's like all the different seasons and all the different elements of the Ironman GNCC, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, well, congratulations on a big win and an awesome 2013 season.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations to Braxton McGee. Once again, 6th win in youth championship racing here in the GNCC races. And again, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And we see a lot of these kids growing up out of these youth ranks, and many of them right now are setting their sights on the XC1 Pro row as we speak, and some of them are already there. And we'll have a chance to catch up with them here in just a few moments as we're going to take a break and be back with more GNCC Live right here on RacerTV.com.
300 searing degrees. 750 pounds of metal twisting torque. 900 hard charging horses. You will never unleash your motor oil like this. But it's good to know you could. AMSOIL. Push it to the limit.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of apparel and gear to dirt bike accessories and OEM parts. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
VP fuels are the most consistent race fuel. It gives us the best throttle response. Any racer using pump gas should consider using VP. It offers bigger performance gains for your money than any other hard part. And the tuning change is easy when you switch to one of VP's entry-level fuels. We will not be as successful without VP.
VP Racing Fuels, purpose-built to take the lead and keep you there.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.
To GNCC Live on RacerTV.com, and I'm Rodney Tomlin again with Jen Kenyon. You know, Jen, GNCC has got a lot of things. You know, the people make up the GNCC Racing Nation, but it's not only the people, it's the great sponsors. And one of the great sponsors that came on board with us this year, the folks at RockyMountainATVMC.com. You know, not only did they bring along the support and the great network that they brought, but also they brought along Fast Track to Rider Registration, which is a great opportunity for riders to get through that long, long line at rider registration virtually instantly whenever they come to rider registration.
Yeah, you know, it's a double bonus for those guys because not only do they get to cut the lines when they get here at the track, free registration, the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Fast Track lane usually doesn't have anybody there because all the paperwork's already been done online. So they get that part done. That's a bonus. But the big, big bonus is that they get $20 gift card for Rocky Mountain ATV MC.
That's right.
And you get that every time you do it. So if you race this series 13 times a year, you get 13 times the $20 gift card.
That's right. And you can save it all up or spend it however you want right there on RockyMountainATVMC.com. The way I look at it, Jen, it's like cutting your race fee in half because you spend, say, $40 on a national class to go racing. You get 20 of that back to spend on yourself and your bike. Hey, it's cutting your racing expenses in half, and you got to say thanks to Rocky Mountain ATVMC for that.
Yeah.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com, and I'm Rodney Tomlin again with Jen Kenyon. You know, Jen, GNCC has got a lot.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Now, got a little bit of a loop thing going on there, but regardless, we are back. We are live, and we are watching these leaders now head into the auxiliary pro pits. They are nose to tail, my friends. Charlie Mullins and KAILUB Russell. And Russell continues to lead this one barely right now over the number 112 machine as they roll through and back into some of the motocross portion of this racetrack where a lot of Indiana race fans are having the opportunity to see the basic debut of this brand new outdoor pro motocross national facility, the Indiana National, coming up August 16th, 2014. It'll be round 11. This is the preview of that, what we're seeing here in fall of 2013. A very picturesque view as well as we look at the fall colors donning the Ironman GNCC, probably one of the most perfect picturesque GNCCs here at the Ironman itself. Over the 19 years, we've had a lot of good weather, a lot of bad weather, but this right here, probably about as perfect as you can get. Very crisp and cold in the early morning. Yesterday was windy and cold, but it made for a great day of racing today. The sunshine abounds, no wind out. It is just an absolutely splendid day. Temperatures only in the mid-50s. An hour and 38 minutes into this race, we're looking at possibly the halfway point for most of these classes, and I'm assuming that that's about where we are. So at this juncture, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our Mid-State Chevy Midway Report here in the GNCC with our amateur riders anyway, and then we'll step in and check in Midway Report also with Jen Kenyon coming up here in a few moments. But right now it's Russell at the finish line. followed then by Charlie Mullins. 1 and 2. We'll see how far back 3rd, 3, 4, and 5 are, and then we'll start taking a look at how things are starting to unfold here in the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. This is amazing. This is amazing how tightly knit these guys are and how many times we've seen this same and perfect scenario arise between these two riders. It says 2.3 seconds as they rolled through the finish line a few moments ago, but I really don't think that is a true indication of how close they actually are. 25 minutes, 14 seconds for Russell, 25 minutes, 15 seconds for Charlie Mullins. Actually, about a half second was the only difference between those guys in reality and on their lap times, and they're staying pretty close to consistent in what we saw them earlier. So 2 good consistent laps. They pulled 52-second lead over Thad Duvall last time. If Duvall stays consistent with his 25.36, that means he's going to lose another 26 seconds or so on the front runners, and that's going to put him about 1 minute and 15 seconds back in the number 3 position. So we'll watch with bated breath for the battle for the number 3 spot with Josh String, Paul Whibley, and again Thad Duvall. Down on Pro Row, you see down there at the very end the factory KTM. You see Mrs. Whibley down there. She's got her pit board. We've got Antti Collinen down there as he is cheering on his 2 riders, showing no favoritism, it did not appear, and the KTM boys are just telling them to go after it, see what happens, who's going to win this one in the end. And again, we'll know more in about an hour and 20 minutes about how this is all going to unfold as far as the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC is concerned. So we got Whibley in 3rd, so we've got some changes going on there. Duvall is in 4th now, 5 seconds back. They've dropped actually 1 minute and 31 seconds behind Mullins and Russell. So this is obviously going to be the Russell Mullins show as far as seeing who's going to win 1st or 2nd. But we're watching for Paul Whibley, Thad Duvall, and what about Josh Strang? Josh didn't check in this mix, I don't think. And Jen Kenyon standing by. What's going on, Jen?
Yeah, Rodney, you're going to notice when these next 2 guys come through, you won't be seeing Josh Strang here on the track. He's actually over at his Rocky Mountain ATV MC pit. I stopped by. He didn't really say too much. I did see that his face was busted up a little bit. It sounds like he hit a hole and his hand came off the handlebars, and he did somewhat of a face plant into the bars. So he looks a little banged up, but everything's okay. But Rodney, the toughest break for Josh, I think, is that the last time he raced a GNCC finale, he actually broke his leg at the Loretta Lynn finale in 2011. So, you know, it's a tough break for Josh to end 2 seasons like this, but he's a tough competitor. I'm sure we'll see him back in action in 2014.
For sure, Jen. And the cool thing about it is he's had a year to adjust with this new program, and to see what he's been able to achieve with it, it gives me high hopes for what Josh Strang and the folks at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, AMSOIL Max's team have to offer. As we are now watching down in the pits, is that Duvall in the pits, or who is that down there? I think Duvall is right behind Whibley. There's ASHBURN. He's moved into the number 5 ride. Rory Mead is 6th place now. So we might even see a few more changes taking place down there. Jen Kenyon watching the pitting strategies unfold down there. Jen, did you happen to catch who that was that stopped there in the pits?
Yeah, Rodney, that was Thad Duvall. He came in. He looks a little camouflage. He's got that white and pink gear on. He can slip by very easily, but it looks like he came in, got some fuel. The guys at his pits are usually always looking at his suspension. I know those guys are always adjusting things. Thad's really good about telling them how the bike's feeling and all that. So I'm only speculating that might have been what they were doing there, but he's flying out here.
10-4, trying to make up for some lost ground. It looks like about 1 minute and 31 seconds of lost ground as he and Whibley have dropped off the pace a little bit behind KR557 and CM112. It's Russell and Mullins. And Whibley, Duvall, ASHBURN, Roy Mead 6th. Josh Strang has officially got to 7th, but he's going to be back farther than that, I think, whenever it's all said and done. Well, I believe So as we take a look at these overall standings right now, we're starting to see some of the XC2 Pro Lights riders check in the top 10 overall after some adjusted time and 4 laps complete here. DeLong, the number 7, is 7th overall. And again, DeLong not a factor in this championship points race as far as Jason Thomas and Grant Baylor are concerned due to having to set out a few rounds of racing earlier this year. But one thing that he has done is come back and made his mark in the XC2 Pro Lights class, and a lot of folks know that he should have and could have and would have been a force to be reckoned with had he not had some misfortunes there about midway through the season. But right now, DeLong is 7th overall, leading the XC2 Pro Lights. We see that Ricky Russell is checking in, now 7th in class and 8th overall. Takeshi Koikata is in, the number 11, the former JNCC champion on the Lights Racing Honda out of Moorville, North Carolina by way of Japan. And rounding out the top 10 should be Chris Bach now. But we may have even had a few more changes other than that. We do. Shane Hufford is checked in now, 2nd in the XC2 Pro Lights class, but only 3.2 seconds behind Andrew DeLong. And with that being said, readjusting the time factors on this, that actually puts Shane Hufford, the 459 machine, in 8th place overall, while 2nd in class. And Jason Thomas, who is running 3rd in his class, now dropping back from 2nd. The number 8 machine, or actually the number 1, is running 9th overall. And Grant Baylor, who is right there with him, 1.6 seconds between Baylor and Jason Thomas as they roll through now pushing on an hour and 47 minutes of this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. So continuing to watch this, and you know, a lot of questions begin to be posed about top amateurs, about the midway point of our racing. And as we check in with our top amateurs, believe it or not, generally we're used to seeing these guys in a solid top 20, but with all the amazing things going on as far as championship battles are concerned, looks like our first amateur checking in all the way back in the 30th place position. That's Austin Lee, the Husaberg rider from Bedford, Indiana. Chris Bach is out of this one, and I know Jake Kenyon is someplace down there in the pits. Bach is not moving like he is a very happy person. So, Jen, I'm wondering if you might have caught word of what might have taken place with Chris Bach.
Yeah, Rodney, just briefly, as Chris was running on foot through Pro Row, he did say that his chain broke, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming if he's running on foot, he's going to get the parts he needs, and he's going to run back to wherever it is that his bike is. So, you know, the rule here in GNCC is that you can fix your bike anywhere on the course as long as you don't ride it anywhere off, and then you have to return where you exited. So it sounds like what he's going to do is repair that bike and try to get back out there.
That's right. He's couldn't get the bike back under its own power to the pits to go back and rejoin the race where he would need to. So he leaves the bike out there. He runs back to the pits, grabs what he needs, and runs back. That right there, my friends, is a true sign of somebody that wants to finish a race out here and make his mark. As I made mention earlier today, actually, Thad Duvall was telling me he doesn't have anything lined up for next year. He said, you know, me and Bach were basically in the same boat right here. I'm kind of wondering if maybe those two might not get together and form their own team. They could be a major powerhouse over there. But, you know, this is the kind of thing where Chris Bach has got to try to perform here today, if nothing else for, you know, so you can say, hey, this is the way things went, and this is why it went that way. You can see how dedicated I am, and you can see just exactly how dedicated he is. He is trying to get back into this race and finish Johnny Gallagher, and that's very important. That's a very commendable trait to have in a person for sure.
Certainly, you know, and with the GNCC community outreach program that we do through the local schools, you know, one of the things that is stressed is that quitters never win and winners never quit. And obviously these guys out here are all winners, so they're certainly not going to quit. They're going to do whatever it takes to push themselves and their machines to the finish and get the best they can out of the day for sure.
Guys, if I could just chime in really quick, it's pretty amazing to watch Chris Bach. He just took the chain off of what I would assume is his practice bike or a spare bike they have over here. He actually had it in his own hands. He's flying now back to the woods to go put it on. That's pretty impressive right there.
No doubt. That right there shows your true heart, will, and determination also, Jim. And Johnny, you've been in these situations before, man. You've been out on the trail. You've had mechanical issues and problems and things, and you know you've had to run back to the pits and go back. I mean, it takes a lot of wind out of yourselves. Look, he's actually mountain biking back to where his bike is.
You know, Chris is a Trek-sponsored athlete, so apparently he's going to hop on a mountain bike and do what he can to get back out there even quicker. So, you know, again, shows his determination, like you said, and he's not going to give up. He's going to make the best of the day, and, you know, he also ultimately has a lot riding on today with the number 3 position in points up for grabs between himself and Duvall and Strang. And, you know, obviously with Strang out of the picture, it appears for the rest of the day today. You know, Bach's going to try and salvage whatever points he can to hopefully come out of the season with number 3.
There you go. And that's another good reason to be digging so deep and pushing so hard. And, man, where'd that come from?
The Vendors Row.
Darlington Conservation Club down there?
Yeah, all the way down on the end, the pork tenderloin sandwich.
Well, they got some good stuff down there. They've got New York Pizzeria here, Frankie and the boys from up New York Pizzeria. We've got Faith Alliance, which is a local organization that helps with breast cancer patients in the area, the local Montgomery County area. They're selling strawberry smoothies and a whole bunch of other great stuff, keeping in the I guess, flavor of the pink race here at the Ironman GNCC. We've got more things happening, it looks like, down there near the pits, Johnny.
Yeah, it looked like pulling into the beta pits. We had our visiting rider from over in Europe. He was pulling in, looked like he was calling it a day. Maybe had some issues out there, either with himself or machine, and there was a quick discussion, and then he decided to call it a day, so he's pulled around in the front of the pit. So.
Tough break for him. I know he had some high hope and some high expectations of himself whenever we saw him in Ohio. I know there was a lot of joking and stuff, but coming fresh out of the ISD, he had a kind of a bone to pick, I guess, with KAILUB Russell after some motocross testing and things that they were doing over there. Jokingly, he was, you know, coming over to try and stop KAILUB Russell, but I think that maybe our Swedish rider might have gotten a bite of Robert Barnstam is his name, the American beta rider. He may have gotten a bite of something that I think he really likes over here in GNCC racing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know, all kidding aside, obviously, I'm sure that was some good-natured ribbing, maybe a little bit of motivation for him, you know, kind of set the bar high for himself, trying to come over here and win. But it is great to see the international flair that GNCC brings. I mean, you have to look, you know, some of the guys that we consider to be regulars and we think of now as you know, kind of homeboys. You know, Josh Strang obviously traveled here from Australia, and Paul Whibley from New Zealand, and you know, going back in the past champions, David Knight, Juha Salmon. I mean, these are all guys that have come over from Europe and raced GNCC for quite a period of time.
And Jason Thomas, he's from Europe right now. I mean, there's a lot of those guys. I mean, I mean, probably if we went down through, we got Takeshi Koiketa from Japan there. I mean, a lot of international flair and a lot of international flavor here on the GNCC trails today.
Yeah, and most of those guys started as just a one-off, you know, visitation ride, you know, with one of the factory teams, or a friend brought them over for them to check out GNCC racing, and they got hooked. I mean, it's a very addictive thing, GNCC racing is. Once you try it, you just want to keep going, and these guys are traveling from, you know, far away, obviously, you know, Japan, like we said, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, and have become some of the premier riders in the GNCC series today.
Johnny, we're watching Twin Peaks right now, and sometime within the next minute we should be seeing our lead riders come in, that being KAILUB Russell and Charlie Mullins, with a 1-minute 31-second lead over that pack of Whibley and Duvall. Another minute and 46 seconds back to 5th place ride Jordan Ashburn. And looking at these conditions, looks like we're starting to see a little bit of powder forming off the hills there. Is that going to, and some rocks and roots and stuff like that starting to be exposed. Johnny, is that going to create a difference as far as traction, the way these riders are going to have to attack this hill?
Yeah, you know, when I stepped out of the CarMate studios here a few moments ago, I was talking with some Yamaha teammates, Walker Powell, and Becky Sheets, and they were out checking out one of the other climbs that doesn't have a name, but has actually become one of the gnarlier sections today. And I guess it's just powder, you know, knee-deep the whole way up, and there's exposed roots underneath that powder that the riders can't see. And they said even the top riders, Whibley, they said, had a little bit of trouble, and a lot of the guys, as they went up, were kind of losing their rear ends, and you know, the bikes were sliding around, so that could certainly play into you know, this ultimately today's race win and championship with KAILUB Russell now shooting at the center of the race.
There goes Russell. Mullins was 1.3 seconds back behind. Actually, it says 2.3 seconds now behind, and I think that maybe some lap traffic or lap obstacles out there might have opened that gap up a little bit.
Yeah, you know, and KAILUB obviously has shown a lot of explosive speed this season, and I'm sure that, you know, these guys are, you know, we say playing cat and mouse, but they're doing that at a real high rate of speed right now. And, you know, with KAILUB, maybe it was a lapper that got between them, and then he put the hammer down, and, you know, now Charlie will do his best to get back up on KAILUB's rear fender, and if he does so, you know, they'll kind of settle back into that pace. But as of right now, it seems KAILUB stretched it out, even if it is just a few seconds. But I'm sure Charlie's certainly not paying it. Still see KAILUB up there in the straight sections, and he's doing what he needs to do to keep close to KAILUB and keep in this championship battle for, you know, the time being. Obviously, as we approach 2 hours, these guys are, you know, it's crazy when you think about it, Rodney. After 12 races and 12 races in 2 hours, you know, we're down to the final hour of this championship battle.
Wow, it is hard to believe that we are at the halfway, or actually a little more than an hour left of racing to go here. Leader due in about 8 minutes, and we were talking about the Mid-State Chevy midway report there a few moments ago, and we'll go ahead and run that down for you real quick. Top 10 in each class goes like this: XC1 Pro, KAILUB Russell, Charlie Mullins, Paul Whibley, Thad Duvall, Jordan Ashburn, your top 5. Then it's Roy Mead in 6th, Ricky Russell 7th, Takeshi Koikata is 8th, Adam Bonor 9th, and Robert Farnstrom, who we saw pull off in the pits there a few moments ago, was running 10th. Just that could move that Stuck MX Graphics rider out of the West Coast over there, Justin Bonita, into a top 10 position quite possibly. Go to the XC2 Pro Lights. It's Andrew DeLong, Shane Hufford, Jason Thomas 1, 2, and 3, with young Grant Baylor only a second behind Thomas at last report. 5th place, Scotty Grills. 6th place, Lane Michael. 7th place was Travis Coy. Then 8th, Ian Blythe, Derek Allen in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, one of the sons of a 9-time GNCC champion, Eddie Lojak. Remember, back in the day, this is Ryan Lojak out here in the XC2 Pro Lights class. By the way, our 44-year-old Phil Smith up now. I think he was 26th. He's up to 22nd now, so he's slowly working his way up through the pack in the XC2 Pro Lights. That's our Phil Smith update there on the Maxxis Appalachian off-road motorcycle-backed machine out there in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Now look at the Open A class. Dual Murphy leading that one with Ted Mullins running in 2nd. Bob Dunlap, the 545 in 3rd. 103, Brady Myers running in 4th. Big Jim Steiner, actually this little Jim Steiner, James Steiner Jr. I keep getting that mixed up because Big Jim used to ride this Open A class too, but now it's just Jim Jr. there, and we got 365 in 5th place. Timmy Murphy, the 37 in 6th. Nathan Thornhill in 7th. The 512, Zach Dodson runs 8th. Thomas Mack, the 260 in 9th, 441. Ryan Prince rounds out the top 10. 250A class, Austin Lee, 123 out front. Anthony Stone in 2nd. Mike Wachowski is 3rd. Blake Leonard in the number 4 spot with Spencer Burke in 5th. Tyler Braniff 6th. Hunter Hutchinson 7th. Eric Douglas is 8th. Kirk Geisler 9th. And Caleb Ward rounds out your top 10. 200A class, Preston Wheeler, the Indiana boy, leading Brian Slopko by about 1 minute and 3 seconds. Tristan Landon running in 3rd, and it's Tate Gertaz in the number 4 spot. We look at the 4-stroke A lights class where Craig DeLong leads Alex Teagard. Actually, there was a near 3-minute lead for DeLong over Teagard there a moment ago. Now we have DeLong with 4 laps, still waiting on Teagard to check in for his 4th lap, but it was Jake Froman in 3rd, Andrew France in 4th, Derek Spangler was 5th, Luke Parsons 6th, Tristan Stumbo 7th, Josh Keys is 8th, Andrew Remley in 9th, and Bo Lang rounded out the top 10. The Vet A 30-plus class, Jeff Craig, the number 1 ride out there, also with 4 laps down, looking for Dustin Gibson, one of the Van Leer Roses himself out of Van Leer, Tennessee. Dustin Gibson, the 176, 1 minute and 45 seconds back. But here's the amazing thing. I didn't realize Dustin Gibson was 30 years old at this point, but was talking with him today. Got to talk to him about the kids and stuff, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize the kids were even that old, man. I mean, he's got I think the youngest is 14 months, and his oldest daughter, I think, is like 4 years old or something like that now.
You know, Rodney, there was a little bit of a conversation here in the CarMate studios earlier, and one of our on-air personalities, Miss Jen Kenyon, made reference to the fact that you and I are old, and I think guys like Dustin Gibson show our age because I feel the same way. I remember when Dustin was like the young kid and was starting to make some moves in the XC2 class. When he first got on KTM's, and it was like, who's this young kid? And now he's 30.
Yeah, and he's running.
Where does time go?
Out on the trail, man. We have a good time, and we have so much fun. It flies, dude. That's what it is.
That's right. 19 years, Rodney. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
19 years here at the Ironman GNCC. I remember pulling in here. We were walking the track on Friday, and I made the comment to somebody that, you'll see a shot here in a minute when they pan around. There's a little watering pond off to the right. That was the pro pits the first year we came here. That pond was not there. That was the pits.
Wow.
So it's amazing how much this place has grown, and obviously GNCC racing was big back in 1995, the first time we came here, but looking at what we have here today, it's obvious how far the series has come in such a short relative period of time.
Yeah, it's come a long ways in the 2 decades that we've been here, and we're on the horizon of even bigger things happening with the motocross race next summer, August 16th. At the Indiana National, round 11 of the Lucas Oil National. So, a lot of big things happening in 2 decades here in central Indiana. As we continue with our Mid-State Chevy Midway Report, it's Craig leading Gibson, as we were talking about. Still astonished that Dustin Gibson, 30 years old. But Curtis Ryan running back in the number 3 spot. Old shotgun Sean Remington himself back and forth. Dennis Dooley heading up the holler there in 5th place. TJ Ernie in 6th. Brian Johnson in 7th. Steve Bond is running in 8th. Darren Chapman in 9th. And Big Jim Steiner rounds out your top 10 there aboard the number 75. That's where he went out of the Open A class. Senior A class of the 40-plus riders. Scotty Daubert out front of this one still, leading by only 5.5 seconds at the end of lap 3 over John Roth. Then it was Walker Lutke out of Wahoo, Nebraska, running in the number 3 spot. Todd Gearing out of my hometown in Jackson, Ohio, running in 4th. Mark LaBelle was 5th. Out of Goshen, Ohio. Then we got Chris Miller in 6th, Tim Pritchett 7th, Larry Sylvia 8th, Troy Stanley 9th, and Harry Englehart in 10th. Open B class, Blake Wrench, Joseph McCarty, Ryan Inman, Brandon Wrench, and Andrew Bolton, your top 5, with Brandon Peterson in 6th, Johnny Schoolcraft in 7th, Cole Orman in 8th, Frank Gallo in 9th, and Joe Sariski rounding out the top 10. Your 250B class, Vance Francis, followed by Ben Parsons. Austin Williams in 3rd, Colin Keegan in 4th, and Matthew Donahue in 5th. JoJo Bowden was 6th, David Schmidt in 7th, Garrett Kirby in 8th, 9th, Colton Wilkes, and rounding out the top 10 will be Chris Bartone. 200B class, William Ruckel leading Brandon Gearing. Those riders running 46 seconds separating them, with Kyle Pettis in 3rd, Cope Beckert in 4th, Sam Shaver, one of the Shaver family members right here from the Shaver Family Farms, running in 5th. Jeremy Custer is 6th. Zachary Ferentz in 7th. Braden Moore is 8th. Johnny Hugel in 9th. And Chance Trigolet is rounding out the top 10. Johnny, looks like leaders as we approach the end of our midway report here with Mid-State Chevy. Stacking them deep, selling them cheap. Check out your next brand new Chevy truck, car, or van at midstatechevy.com.
Yeah, and we see Caleb Russell with the lead, and it appears he's put a little bit of a gap on Charlie Mullins. So these two have been nose to tail for much of the race, and we're finally seeing a little bit of separation. So as this plays out here in front of us, we'll have to see if Caleb's able to stretch it out, or Charlie's going to reel him right back in. Like we talked about, could be a lap where they got between them and just that little bit of a gap, and Caleb's going to do all he can to stretch it, and Charlie's going to do all he can to not let it happen. So they'll be checking in here in just a few seconds, and we'll see exactly what kind of a gap we're working with.
For sure, and this is the kind of day that I know that Caleb, whenever I was talking to him, and, I don't want to say that Caleb is at all cocky. I don't want to say that he's overly confident or anything like that. What he is he's very confident in his talent. He knows that he works hard. He knows what he does in the off weeks, and he knows where his mindset is, where he is physically, where he is mentally, and he knows when he comes into this race, he should be winning, and that's the mindset that he carries into it, and that's the mindset he had today. Like he said, the pressure for him wasn't today. It all began about 8 rounds ago whenever he was about 20 points down.
Yeah, and there's an area about Caleb that you've seen with a lot of greats, whether it be GNCC greats like Billy Hawk and Bill Balance, and even, our current XC1 ATV champion, Chris Borge. They have that confidence, and a lot of times people will try and portray that as cockiness or arrogance, but I just think it's confidence in their abilities, confidence in their programs, and you know, Caleb's showing why right now. I mean, he's out there putting the speed to the track and trying to pull away from Charlie. But you know, Charlie's a champion in his own right, and he's not going to go down without a fight. I promise we have not seen the last of Charlie Mullins today.
Both very talented riders. Both very, very talented riders, to say the least. 16.2 seconds separating the riders. And, Johnny, we're starting to see that lap traffic actually get between these guys this race.
Yeah, you know, and that's something here with the great turnout that we've had. Definitely these guys are going to be getting into some more lappers throughout the course of the rest, several laps. It's interesting to see where you've got the lappers playing into the equation. You know, it could either hurt Caleb out front with holding him up, or it could help Charlie, or hurt Caleb with Caleb getting by and then moving back over in front of Charlie. So from my experience, it's best when you're battling like that to be on somebody's rear wheel, because then if they get by, you do as well. But with them having a little bit of a gap between them, it allows the opportunity for a lapper to possibly get in there and hold Charlie up. So, or again, you know, it could be Caleb coming up on him first. They can hold Caleb up. So these guys are going to be aggressive, but they're also going to be careful. Because,
think about this, Johnny. Remember, we talked about the assessment of penalty, 15 seconds due to the bike actually just accidentally. I know it was an accident. I know. He bumped that start just a little too soon, and they assessed him a 15-second penalty. Take that 15 seconds and put it back in. How much farther? We'd be looking at possibly a 30-second lead right now for Caleb Russell.
Yeah, you know, that definitely comes into play. You know, we talked about that 15 seconds and how it was going to play out. And, wow, you can really see Charlie. He's aggressive right now. You know, this is his whole season on the line. You know, he's doing everything in his power to run Caleb back down. But like you said, that 15 seconds definitely could have loomed large, but at this point, Caleb's been able to make up that 15-second deficit, and then also put, you know, an additional 16 of his own back on there. So, you know, he's been riding well today, and with just under an hour left of racing, you know, we're going to see how it all plays out here real soon.
2 hours, 6 minutes, 41 seconds into this race, to be exact. 5 laps down for Caleb Russell, Charlie Mullins, and Paul Whibley now, minute and 52 seconds back. Listen to these lap times. Charlie Mullins is staying nearly identical lap times. He turned a 25:14 last time. If I'm not mistaken, that's within a second of where he was a lap ago. However, the big difference here is Caleb Russell literally knocked 15 seconds off his lap time, 13 seconds anyway, as Russell turns a 25-minute flat lap time, 25 minutes, .45. So there's where we're seeing the difference there. It's not a matter of Mullins has slowed down any whatsoever. It's nothing like that at all. It's the fact that Caleb Russell has picked up the pace that much. Now, as far as Wibbs is concerned, the 25:35, he's running about 15 to 20 seconds off the pace of Mullins right now, losing from, well, a minute and 31 seconds now to a minute and 52 seconds. So Whibley, again, saying earlier in the day that he wasn't going to put himself in a position to mess anything up between these two riders. He wanted to let them have a chance to fight it out amongst themselves. So he's running back in the number 3 spot right now. The big question for me is, where is Thad Duvall? A lap ago, Thad Duvall was only 5 seconds behind Paul Whibley. This lap, it's been every bit, I'm sure, of a minute. And we haven't even, maybe 2. There's Whibley in the pits right now as we're watching him get water. There's Catherine, his wife, giving him the water. And he gets a full tank of gas, fills up, tops off that gas, and he's back off and rolling. Where is the 989? I mean, is he having that big of problems out there? And Jen Kenyon joining us here in the CarMate studios to give us the scoop. What's happening?
You know, Rodney, I checked in with the Thad Duvall pits just there. We saw that something was going on the rear end. It sounds like he's having issues with his rear shock. They tried to adjust it a little bit, but they said he might be kind of losing it altogether. So it'll be interesting to see how that bike's moving when he comes back through here again.
For sure, if it even has suspension. And that's a tough break for Thad. That's 2 races in a row that he's gone back to the 450, and he's had those issues and those problems out there, you know?
You know, Rodney, it's easy to see why he'd have rear shock issues out there. This track is, as we discussed, with it now being the 7th race, and you know, approaching or possibly over 2,000 riders and drivers with UTVs out there. This track is really rough right now, and that really does take its toll on your suspension. That suspension fluid, the oil inside the shock heats up, and myself, you know, yesterday towards the end of the race, I was impressed with my suspension, but at the same time, I made a comment, and you know, Walker Fowler, who finished yesterday, second yesterday in the ATV race, and Chris Bortz both made the comment after the race. They did not anticipate the track getting as rough as it did.
Yeah. That's, you know, and that's, you know, I mean, we've seen a lot. That's what the great thing about Ironman is. There's so many, throw something different at you every year, and you can't get used to it. I mean, you just cannot get used to the conditions here at the Ironman.
Rodney, I don't know, this might be a little too nostalgic, and maybe I'm reaching for it, but I feel like this is kind of the embodiment of Bob Sloan, you know, the man that this race is named after. And this track, you know, just when you think you've got it covered, pardon me, that's a little hoarseness from yelling at lappers yesterday, but, you know, just when you think you've got it covered, you think you've got it figured out, this track will reach up and grab you, whether it's a hill climb, whether it's, you know, a mud hole, or whether it's, you know, just the rough nature of the track in general. This Ironman racetrack is alive, and it's challenging these racers today.
It most certainly is, and it holds the true spirit of Bob the Ironman Sloan, and rightfully named, I can tell you that for sure. Waiting on the XC2 guys right now, and
Andrew DeLong.
There's Andrew DeLong. Andrew DeLong checking in with the lead in this one right now as he comes through the finish line region. That puts him 6th place on the overall right now, and leading the XC2 Pro Lights. There's Ashburn in the Pro Pits getting some gas and some water right now. By the way, lap time for DeLong, 26:33. This guy's off about a minute and a half off the pace of the front runners in the XC1 Pro class.
Yeah, you know, Andrew's had a great year, and unfortunately that injury he had kind of took him out of the championship battle. You know, Jason Thomas made the comment at the last race in Ohio that this was DeLong's championship to lose, and unfortunately his injury did just that for him. But, you know, that's part of racing, and Jason Thomas and Grant Baylor have kept themselves healthy all season, kept themselves in this battle. And, you know, interesting thing, when I stepped outside the studio earlier just for a moment, just happened to time it perfectly. I was looking at the finish line just as Grant Baylor and Jason Thomas came through the finish line together, wheel to wheel. And, you know, so we've got our XC1 championship battle. Obviously, it's whichever man finishes ahead of the other. Not quite as much, you know, of a cliffhanger in the XC2, but nonetheless, we still have nearly an hour of racing left. Anything could happen. And I think with Grant Baylor, where he's at right now, he's kind of in the catbird seat. Obviously, he's got the points that he needs, per se, in the bank, I guess you could say. But he ultimately still needs to finish this race. But it was interesting to see him push up to the rear wheel of Thomas, just to kind of keep an eye on that championship rival.
For sure. And, you know, it's got to be looming in the back of his mind, or somebody's mind out there anyway. It is mine. You know, everything's went so well for the young Grant Baylor, and the last couple of rounds they haven't treated him as nicely. And there comes our leaders in with the XC2 Pro Lights class right now. And we had Andrew DeLong. Shane Hufford was running in second, but Grant Baylor, a minute and 44 seconds back, has checked in the number 2 spot now. So he's gotten around Hufford, and he's gotten around Jason Thomas both. So this final hour is basically going to be some victory cruises right now. There's the far Husqvarna pits. We got Fred Andrews down there, Fred Andrews Racing. And
you know, as we're watching the live scoring here, we see that Thad Duvall has not yet checked in. Unless we missed him, or unless his transponder's not working, it doesn't appear that he has checked in this lap. So there's been a change in the XC1 class and also the overall. DeLong, as you said, up to 6th overall, and Grant Baylor 7th, moving him up to 2nd in XC2. So we have to wonder, you know, did that shock issue that Thad was having get worse, or, you know, is there another issue he may have run into along the trip?
Well, we have DeLong, Baylor, Hufford, and Thomas all checking in now from the XC2 Pro Lights class. And yeah, again, I'm of the mindset, you know, I think that whatever issue, suspension issue happened for Thad has quite possibly taken him out of the running. But here's an interesting thing to think about. Remember, in Ohio a couple weeks ago, he refused help, didn't want any assistance or anything like that with some mechanical issues he was having then. So maybe he's done the same thing, stuck the bike over in the weeds. He's running back to the pits himself, going to try to fix things, get back into the race.
Yeah, you know, especially last race. I mean, that obviously with the championship battle between Mullins and Russell, you know, those guys have kind of got the 1-2 positions locked down. But as we've mentioned to you before, you know, there's a heck of a battle brewing between Chris Bach, Josh Strang and Thad Duvall over that number 3 ride for the year. And Chris Bach has 192 points in third, with Josh Strang in fourth with 176, and then Thad Duvall with 161. So if Thad could score some points today, with Strang apparently out of the running, at least at this point, that could ultimately loom large for the number 4 spot. Mathematically, it doesn't look like Thad would be able to catch Bach. Even if Bach does not finish today, he would come up 1 point short if he won the race, which, you know, he's a good ways back from doing that right now. But it's in these guys' head, all the math plays in, and they know going in what they need to do. So I'm sure Thad's going to do whatever he needs to do to finish to get the best out on that bike as he can.
And speaking of what they need to do, young Grant Baylor in the pit stops there on the KTM, checking in second place. Yeah, he too knows what to do. He may be young. Maybe the youngest rider to ever win the XC2 Pro Lights class title. Maybe the only and the first rider to do it in their rookie season. A couple of historical things, but one thing is for sure, he knows the math. He knows what he's got to do to make it happen. And I know that Jen Kenyon had a chance to catch up with him, talking about that and a few other things earlier this morning. And we'll be back with that interview coming up. There we go.
Grant, you've been in this position before a lot of times with the championship chase underway, but this is the first time you've ever been in this kind of a little bit maybe stressful championship chase in the pro ranks. Tell us how you're feeling. You've got a 21-point lead over Jason Thomas heading into the finale today.
I'm feeling really good. I mean, really all I've got to do is finish 11th or better if Jason wins to get the championship, but you know I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go out there and race my hardest and try my best to get out there and get a win, because that's the best thing to do. And I feel pretty confident going into it. Looks like it's a fun track. Perfect conditions. Couldn't be better.
Yeah, you know, we've seen the Baylors really excel here before in the overall from that second row. So you've got a good chance of doing some great things here today. Like we said, you've got that championship battle going with Jason Thomas, but Andrew DeLong's in the class now. He's back after an injury. He's been riding really strong. What do you think your goal is going to be here to, you know, put that bike in front of Andrew DeLong today?
Just get a good start and ride my race, and I'm sure he'll catch me. He always comes around the first lap in first, but and I always suffer with really bad arm pump, and it just kills me the first lap or two. But hopefully I can just push through that and get a win. But I don't know. I mean, these past 2 races I've had bad luck, brakes going out, running out of gas, just stupid little things, and could have been better. Little mechanical issues, but hopefully these guys in the pits got it all dialed in for me this week and pull in a good win.
All right, well, we're looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds.
All right, thanks.
The young Grant Baylor, 16, on the verge of a historical championship win in the XC2 Pro Lights class as far as the title is concerned, the youngest to ever do that, and also the first to ever do it in their rookie season. I mean, that's a couple of major feats for somebody to pull off there.
Certainly, you know, Grant's had an impressive year this year, and consistency's really been his strong suit. You know, DeLong with his injury, Jason Thomas has had his issues throughout the year, and that's where Grant was able to amass that points lead by always being on the podium, always being up there battling. You know, one thing I will point out, anybody that follows either Stu or Grant on Instagram or any of the social media, there was a little rift between them this past, not rift, but some tension between them. You know, Stu was kind of calling Grant out on his poor finishes the last couple races and pointing out what he felt were the reasons for those finishes. And I'm new to the CarMate Studios here, so I'm not going to pull any punches. And it was pretty interesting to see. You know, Stu definitely gave his opinion, right or wrong, and if nothing else, you know, maybe those two will settle it on the track, or maybe they'll have a talk about it behind the woodshed. But the reality of it is, I feel a little bit of a fire under Grant today. You know, he was a little further back at the beginning, and you know, he's proving now that he's not out there just to make laps and collect
you know,
his
Big Brother is very critical of his little brother. I mean, he don't necessarily want him to break his records, but at the same time, I think he does. I think he's that much in his corner. But the one thing that Stu knows is who he is going up against, and that's Jason Thomas. And Jason Thomas, though he's 21 points out right now, still has a shadow of a chance if something happens to Baylor here in the final hour of racing to win this championship. So Stu knows what he's going through, so he's trying to fire his brother up. And I know that Jen Kenyon got to know Jason Thomas a little bit and what was on his mind earlier today, too.
Jason, heading into this season finale, you're 21 points down from the XC2 championship. You've got one under your belt already. What are your thoughts heading into this final race?
Yeah, obviously this is my last XC2 ride, so not really worried about the championship. It's not really mine to win. It's more Grant's to lose, so I'm just focused on trying to go out and win the race, not really the championship. And if the championship is there at the end, then yeah, so be it.
All right, so you're just out there too. What are your personal goals here for round 13?
Domination is my personal goal here. Yeah, I definitely want to go out on a high. Like I said, it's my last race, and yeah, DeLong's been riding real good here lately and winning races. But I definitely want to go out with a win, and anything other than a win isn't going to satisfy me. So yeah, definitely going to give it my all, and hopefully come away with it.
You know, nothing says domination more than a pink mohawk.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe, yeah. The pink mohawk's for the breast cancer thing, though. So if you're gonna raise awareness, you better raise do it right. Not just a scarf.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's cool that you guys have. You got the pink grips, you got the pink graphics, the pink hair. It's pretty cool that everybody gets so involved in the festivities of it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it needs to be awareness to be raised there, and yeah, everyone's doing their best to do that. So yeah, mine's a mohawk, and hopefully that raises a little bit more than everyone else.
All right.
Is raising some questions, I'll tell you that. Is he a punk rocker or what? You know, Jason is a great guy, man. I mean, he's been around for a while. And to see him finally win that championship last year was a great feat for him, obviously, especially against some adversity that he did it against. And then this year to still be in the hunt, you know, and he'll be the first to admit it, man. You know, these guys might be consistently, well, they might be a little faster and a little better than him nowadays in some of these areas, some of these younger guys, but consistency is where this is all paying off for him, man. And being the older guy sometimes, that can help out. I mean, heck, you know that as well as anybody. I mean, I'm not calling you old either.
I'm all right with it. I own my age. I'm fine with being one of the elder statesmen, I guess, of GNCC pro racing. And, you know, I've been around a long time and seen a lot of things, but that was a first for a pink mohawk for sure.
Well, Jen Kenyon is standing by over in the pro pits right now. I know we've had a lot of speculation, a lot of wonder where and what has happened with Jen Kenyon, or not Jen Kenyon, but Thad Duvall. And Jen Kenyon might have just figured that out for us.
Well, Rodney, I'm all right. Everything's good. I'm here in the VP Racing
Fuels. Good. I'm glad to know that.
I'm here in the VP Racing Fuels Pro Row. Unfortunate break for Thad Duvall. You know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news each and every round that something goes wrong with Thad, but it sounds like he might have had a big crash out there. He might have knocked his head a little bit, so it sounds like Chad Duvall went out, found him. They're going to bring him back here to the pits, so I don't think we'll see Thad Duvall back out there on the racetrack. You know, that just adds one more XC1 Pro to the Pro Row, unfortunately, in this race.
Well, that's, yeah, one more out and one more to spectate from Pro Row there. And that's unfortunate, but you got to remember, Jen was talking a little bit ago, some rear shock issues, and this kind of rough racetrack and trying to carry the speeds that Thad's going to try to be carrying out there, bad rear shock could probably pitch you in a place or two and put you on your head like quite possibly could have happened.
Yeah, certainly. With as rough as the track got for us yesterday, I can only imagine how much rougher it's getting for these guys today. And you know, we were watching some of the NBC Sports raw footage from earlier. We saw apparently a lapper had missed on the fastest part of the Ironman hill climb. When he did so, Andrew DeLong was committed at the bottom, had to turn around, shoot back down. You know, there's so many obstacles out there for these guys, not just the course itself, but obviously racing with the amateur and A and B class riders. Those guys can be kind of rolling obstacles, not to call them obstacles. They're out there racing and doing quite well in their own right, but you know, when you're approaching them at a high rate of speed, it can get a little sketchy at times.
Yeah, and DeLong has really put together a great season, aside from the aside from some of the not being able to be here all year because of injury and having to set that a little bit out. Wow, watching this Ironman hill, we're watching some footage right now, and this hill is getting more and more gnarly and more challenging. There's no doubt about it. And we've got coming into the pits with us our GNCC poster child, Rocky Mountain ATV MC Maxxis AMSOIL-backed ride, Kawasaki rider, of course, of Josh Strang. And Josh, man, glad to have you in the studio, but not during the race, man. What's going on there?
Just blew a hand off the handlebars, I don't know, a couple laps ago, and just face planted into the ground. So
wow.
I had a big crash on the first lap, and then that one there, and I was like I'll just sit down and watch the boys battle it out.
There you go. Time to take a break and watch it. You do look pretty shaken up out there, but the good thing you're able to walk away from and everything. Josh, course conditions, man, look pretty good out there. Look ultimate.
Yeah, the track was perfect today. It was there was some real powdery bumps there, but other than that, you couldn't ask for a better racetrack today. It was pretty fast, but I was enjoying it until I crashed.
So what exactly happened to put you in a crash situation? Just don't know?
Yeah, I just wheelied. There was like a G out before we going up a hill, and I'd been wheeling it the 2 laps or 3 laps before, and I just did the same thing. And for some reason, when I wheelied it and G'd out, and my hand just blew off the handlebar. And
wow. That's crazy. But all in all, Josh, I just want to say congratulations to you, man, on a successful season. You've taken a virtually non-existent program and turned it into something. You got up on the podium. You won a race. I mean, you my friend, put yourself back into the limelight as far as GNCC, and I can't wait to see what 2014 holds for you, bud.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really disappointed about today, and some of the results from this year have been definitely not what I wanted, but I've had everyone from Rocky Mountain ATV, Maxis, Amsoil, all those guys have been helping out, and without them guys I wouldn't be here racing, so I thank them a lot. Unfortunately I couldn't get the results I wanted, and today finished off DNF, so I was disappointed. Disappointing way to end the season pretty much.
Disappointing way to end the season, but we're happy you're healthy. We're happy that you've got a program set for next year. You've got good people supporting you, and that's what the important thing is. You've got a future, man, and that's what we've got to protect and ride for right now.
Yeah, thanks, and everyone that's listening, watching, I hope they come back out to GNCC next year. It'll be good.
All righty, that's Josh Strang, former GNCC champion, and right now 25-second lead for KAILUB Russell over Charlie Mullins. From Barry Hawkman giving us that report from out there on the racetrack, and we're watching that race unfold. We were watching the race up front fold. You know, we were talking about Andrew DeLong there a few moments ago, and, you know, the elements that he has thrown back into this XC2 Pro Lights class, and he's going to be a one to watch. Going to be making that move up into the XC1 Pro class next year, and it's going to be exciting. There goes Paul Whibley from earlier today from the NBC Sports raw footage, checking in with the way things are going. 5 laps down. We're about 3 minutes out from seeing these guys at the finish line. Last time through, 16.2 seconds separated first and second of Russell and Mullins. Lap time, 25 minutes even for Russell, 25:14 for Charlie Mullins. So there was a 14-second difference in the lap time. And that's where we saw that 2-second gap go to a 16-second gap. No, it didn't look like necessarily that Charlie made a mistake. It looked like KAILUB picked up the pace. And if he continues to keep picking up the pace as this goes on, that 25-second gap that we're starting to see open up there is starting to be, well, obviously we're seeing why it's being like that. Because, hey, on a rail right there, there goes KAILUB. On a rail Russell, I guess is the best way to put that.
You might have just coined a new phrase there. You know, KAILUB on a rail Russell. You know, he's starting to put the pressure down, and he's put himself in a position now where it's really him racing the track. You know, there is still over a half hour left in this race, so when they check in, you know, they're still going to have 30 minutes of racing plus left. There's Charlie, so it looks like the gap's pretty much stabilized there, probably around 25 seconds, and you know, with this race really winding down, KAILUB's going to put his speed to the test, and Charlie, as I've said so many times, is going to do everything he can to get back on that rear fender, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm excited to see. In my mind, I saw this one playing out a battle through the final turn, so I don't see that that's not going to happen, but
it's looking like more and more it's not, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. You know, still a lot of racing left.
30 minutes, a lot of things can happen in 30 minutes, as you well know. So, yeah, we could see these guys heated wheel to wheel. One thing I can say, though, I'm not so surprised that maybe Russell is doing what he's doing. And the reason I say that, whenever we saw him, I talked to him today, when we saw the interview with Jen Kenyon from this morning also, I mean, there was that quiet bit of confidence that KAILUB was carrying. He didn't seem to be nervous. And like I said, I mean, his pressure came 8 rounds ago whenever he was 20 points down. Now it's not so much pressure for him, he said. And he relayed that, and it was very, I mean, you could sense that in him. On the flip side of that, Mullins seemed to have a little bit of pressure on him, it seemed like to me.
you know, as we see the white flag come out, I'll kind of reiterate a conversation I had with Walker Fowler just before the start of this race. Walker and I are both obviously huge fans of GNCC racing, and we were pretty stoked about this XC1 title fight today. And one of the things that was brought up was, you know, okay, assuming all goes well, nobody has any bike issues, nobody has a crash, it comes down to KAILUB versus Charlie, who's going to win this race. And the funny thing was, we both kind of picked our favorite, if you will, and then swapped sides. Because these guys are so evenly matched in such different ways, it was, in my opinion, it's really hard to call, you know, who has the advantage here. I mean, KAILUB has some speed that at times can be just jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring. Yeah. But at the same time, Charlie is so strong and so mentally strong that, you know, that is a huge attribute that he carries to the table. I know both of these guys off the track. I've had an opportunity to ride and hang out with both of these guys, and you know they've really just put on a showcase of their talents this season.
They have, and the bad thing about Charlie and KAILUB is it's hard to choose a favorite between those guys because they're both such good guys. I like them both so much, and I know everybody else feels that way, but I'm sure there's people that might have a little different opinion, obviously, out there. But I mean, for the majority of the masses of us, man, I mean, it's really hard to choose a favorite between those. Those are just two really great guys.
Yeah, you know, I did read a Tuesday Toolbox interview with Maria Forsberg this week on her retirement, and one of the statements she made rang true with me as well. She said she oftentimes finds herself cheering for the top 7, 8, 10, 12 guys in the XC1 class on the bike side. And I feel the same way. I mean, these guys are all, you know, they're laying it on the line. They're giving it their all. It's hard not to cheer for them. So I feel the same way. I mean, obviously I cheer for Paul. He's my Yamaha teammate, but I like KAILUB. He's a great guy. Charlie I've hung out and mountain biked with, and he's a great guy. And, you know, it's hard not to cheer for both of them.
Is there anybody we don't like on the XC1 or XC2 roads right now? I can't think of anybody in ATV or motorcycles. Everybody's nice guys out there.
I'm going to be a little...
Johnny Gallagher, yeah, he's a real...
I'm going to go ahead and be provocative and say no comment on that one.
Now, you, on the other hand, I'm sure you got to deal with guys and egos like Chris. Well, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that Chris Borch, he's a real character. You know, his ego's almost as big as his ears.
That's saying a lot. But back to this one, 28.5 seconds separating Caleb Russell and Charlie Mullins at the white flag. Again, another near 2 minutes back to the third place position is what we'll be waiting for to see whether or not the two New Zealanders of Whibley and Mead battling it out for the final podium position finish. And both these guys could use this finish, but I think in reality, a third-place finish is probably more important today to Roy Mead than it is to Paul Whibley. Actually, this fourth-place finish will be monumental for Roy, especially the season that he's had so far.
You know, and that's something that Josh Strang, I just spoke with him for a second outside, and it brought up something. You know, you look at today, there was 3 riders battling for that number 3 spot coming into today. You had Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, and obviously Chris Bach, who was holding that number 3 spot. All 3 of those guys, well, we did just see Chris Bach jump back on the track behind Caleb Russell, so he's going to go out there, salvage some points, but I could be wrong, but I don't think he will score any top 20 overall points, which is ultimately what these points are decided upon. So I think all 3 of those guys will score no points today. I made a joke, you know, nobody wants that number 3, and then I won't say who, somebody else said, yeah, well, look what happened to Rory this year. Nobody wants that number. You know, Rory's had a rough year, so it would be awesome for him to get on the podium today or even a 4th place position, like you said. A little bit of confidence for him going into the offseason. Rory is going to be going to Japan next week to represent GNCC at JNCC, so it will certainly be good for him if he could have a good ride and gain that little bit of confidence. Rory showed so many flashes of brilliance last year with winning races and on the podium and ultimately earning that number 3. You know, I don't think we've seen the last of Roy Mead by any stretch.
No doubt about that. And, of course, we'll see more of Rory Mead in just a few moments as Caleb Russell leads Charlie Mullins 28.5 seconds. Paul Whibley another couple minutes back with Roy Mead another couple back and forth, and Jordy Ashburn rounding out the top 5. We'll be back with more GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com right after this.
What do you call a machine that combines precision-engineered handling, industry-leading power, and a rider-focused design? We call it a Can-Am. From the essentials to fully loaded, you'll find that same combination in every ATV and side-by-side we build. And right now, get your own for as low as $149 a month. Can-Am, the ride says it all.
we got here at AOMC is a huge selection. You can get everything you need for your off-road bike.
We're here to support the sport. Customer service is our priority. We all ride, so kind of take care of our fellow riders.
This is a perfect spot for it. We're on 32 acres here, right in the middle of Appalachia, prime riding area. Yeah, really anything KTM has in stock, we have it. We get it the next day.
What excites me the most is that even after 12 years, I feel like we're just getting started. Hi, this is Tanner Harding, and today we're going to take a walk around KAILUB's 2013 KTM 350 XCF. One of the coolest things about KAILUB Russell's bike is it's pretty much all stock. You can go right into your KTM dealer and you can get an XC model, and it's great for trails, it's great for racing, it's a great all-around bike. So that's the 2013 KTM 350 XCF. I'm Tanner Harding. Thanks for checking it out.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com, the 19th annual AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher. And Johnny, you guys actually get a chance to go out and visit and meet and greet with some of the local community schools.
Yeah, you know, it's a great opportunity for GNCC to give back to the communities that we visit, and you know, to hopefully have a positive influence on these kids' lives, and maybe give them a little bit of direction. You know, one of the comments I always make is, you know, not so long ago, or in my case, pretty long ago, we were all sitting where you guys are, and we followed our dreams, and it's led us to where we stand today in front of you as professional ATV and motorcycle racers, and this is what we love to do, and we've been blessed with the opportunity to do it for a living, most of us, and it's great. You know, the school program covers a lot of topics ranging from goal setting, working together as a team, winners never quit, you know, and also cover some anti-bullying, which is a hot topic kind of in society right now. So Jen Kenyon and the GNCC team have put that program together, and I'm proud to be a part of it in some small way.
Wow, you guys are just like some positive reinforcement advocate group out there just going around the nation. I mean, so I guess it's true. What we see in the pits amongst you guys, you live that, huh?
You know, in all reality, this might sound cheesy, but GNCC racing and ATV racing in general has given me everything in my life, so anything that I can give back to anybody is a small drop in the bucket in my mind.
Well, I've talked about you a lot over the years, man.
Hey, wait, I bought you that sandwich.
You did.
That
was a good sandwich.
See, you're paid back. We're even.
There, we are even, man. You kept my belly. So right now, KAILUB Russell continually leads Mullins. Whibley has checked in with third place. Rory Mead has checked in 2:11 behind Whibley. Whibley is 3 minutes 42 seconds now behind Mullins. And Mead, 2 minutes and 11 seconds. The lap times, 24:38, 24:50 for Russell and Mullins.
One of the things you can really see there is as Russell and Mullins push the pace to ultimately put the wraps on this 2013 championship fight, they're really pushing that pace to the point that you know, they're showing that little bit of extra edge that they've had all year. And kudos to Paul Whibley, though, another podium ride. You know, second race back on the bike, and like we talked about, how bike fit is he? You know, one of the things that was brought up this week when someone else brought that up is Paul Whibley doesn't give up. The Axeman has no quit in him, so you know, he's definitely going to do everything he can to hold on to that number 3 spot.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a name for his baby. I thought Okie, like an oak tree or something like that.
You mean Miss Piggy? Have you met Miss Piggy?
I have met Miss Piggy. He's got a potbelly pig down there, and she's lovely. You know, she's friendly, like a little puppy or something. It's pretty neat.
You know, I have to make a comment. You know, I've known Paul for a number of years, and Paul's a pretty quiet, private guy. He and Catherine are great. I like them both a lot. But I've noticed, it seems to me the last 2 races, Paul's come back, and you know, I made the comment to Donnie Luce, the big boss at Yamaha. He's here this weekend, and I told him last week when we were talking, I believe it was, I said, you know, Paul had a different air about him. Just seemed to be having a lot of fun being at the track, and you know, for a guy like Paul that's been doing this so long, you know, he's traveled all over the world racing his dirt bike. He's won championships. He's done everything. You know, maybe this little step away in the time it took him to rehab that injury and the surgery, it gave him that fire. It gave, you know, that appreciation for being at the track and doing what he does. And, you know, he's digging through the pain and digging through maybe his little bit of lack of fitness that he might have and a little bit of bike fit issue that he may be having, but putting it on the box is an awesome ride for him today.
Don't forget, folks, tweet your podium predictions to and hashtag those GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL products. We will be choosing the winner randomly here in the next few moments, so you still got some time there. But hashtag your tweets and podium predictions with GNCC Live for a chance once again to win $250 in great AMSOIL product. We will be choosing the winner rather randomly, and not random at all, I don't think, but certainly someone that has made a mark, and I think it's something that is, again, a destiny, not random, but destiny, and that is Maria Forsberg and her mark on the GNCC Racing Nation. And Maria, welcome here to the CarMate Studios. One thing I do want to say, thanks again for the great memories that you've given us here in GNCC Women's Class Racing, and congratulations on a successful career. I understand that you're actually retiring.
Yeah, I decided to retire a little earlier, a few weeks ago, and talked with my husband and everything, and he was very supportive in whatever I decided to do, and I decided to retire. I'm at that point in my life where I want to try some new things, and I like CrossFit, and I love mountain biking and downhilling and everything, and so I kind of want some weekends free to try some stuff and see. Maybe I'll compete in something else. You never know.
There you go. Now let me ask you, looking back over how many years? What, 5 years now you've been here?
I think 4.
4 years. 4 years that you've been here. Looking back over it, I know you probably had a lot of animosities and a lot of anxieties. Not animosities, but anxieties coming east to race the GNCCs. Now that you look back on what it was like thinking about coming here to the East Coast and racing the GNCCs, what's that experience been like for you?
Well, it's been incredible. I mean, it's really a dream come true to have my bike ready, and I just fly over here and put my gear on and everything like that. And KTM's made that opportunity for me, and I can't thank them enough. And I mean, it's tiring to go to work on Monday and stuff, but I wouldn't have given up any day of it to not do it. So I'm very thankful for my opportunity.
So not only are you a women's off-road racer by trade and living, you also have another job back home in what is it, Washington Washington. What is it you do back there as a real job?
I'm an electrician at Boeing.
An electrician at Boeing, and you race motorcycles on the side. You're a very talented lady. And Maria, it has been an honor to know you and to be in your presence and to see the greatness that you put here with us in GNCC. Congratulations, and I hope we get to see you in the future, all right?
Thank you, and I'm definitely hoping to be back and cheering everyone on.
Sounds good. That's Maria Forsberg, ladies and gentlemen. Forsberg Hahn, and she is announced her retirement from women's GNCC racing, and a very successful career here on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. I mean, she's done everything she can do. It's time to move on to new and other things, I guess. 11 minutes out from a checker flag as we check with this. Caleb Russell leading Charlie Mullins, 28.5 seconds. Another near 4 minutes back to Paul Whibley, and another 2 minutes back to Roy Mead in fourth with Jordy Ashburn. Wow. Ashburn turning and pulling to within 15 seconds now of Rory Mead for the number 4 position. Lap times for Jordan Ashburn, 26:33. Rory Mead at 26:28. So those last couple laps, lap and a half, have gotten pretty intense right there in that battle for the top 5. Ricky Russell running in 6th. Takeshi Koikata in 7th. Adam Bornor is 8th. In 9th spot, Justin Bonita on the Stuck MX graphics machine, and Chris Bach rounds out the top 10. He's back into this one and holding on to 10th place in the class as far as things go. Top amateur overall, if we're wondering how that's going, Austin Lee has moved into the 20th place position overall from the 258 class. It looks like he might be the rider that is going to take the honors of top amateur overall here at the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC in 2013. We're at Twin Peaks right now watching for our leaders to make their way in, and you can see line choices. These riders, some of the riders are choosing alternate ways to get up this hill. once they get there, some of them going up, some going to the right, some going way far down to the left down in that region. But these guys right here at Twin Peaks, we've seen a big crowd down there earlier today. It's starting to fade a little bit. A big, huge crowd down at Ironman Hill today. There's no doubt, as we've seen that thing begin to develop its traditional Ironman GNCC race face, and that only means next year it's only going to be that much better. I can't wait to see what the 20th annual Ironman GNCC is going to be bringing. We're on a white flag. We're less than 10 minutes out. And there goes KAILUB Russell now on his way to history and his first ever GNCC title right here at the Ironman, man. I tell you, couldn't have done it any better. We talk about how epic these seasons are, how exciting they are, and lo and behold, they continue to be exciting year after year. And I said it last year. I said last year was the best season ever. I'm beginning to wonder, is this not the best season ever? As well as Stu Baylor has now made his way to the CarMate Studios. We'll try to catch up with you here in a second, Stu, but right now we're waiting on Charlie Mullins to check in. He was about 28.5 seconds back, and it looks like Charlie might have fallen back a little bit more than that now. As these riders make their charge to the checkers, we're 8 minutes away from a finish line shot with KAILUB Russell claiming that national championship if everything continues to go well throughout the remainder of this lap. And we'll be back with more GNCC Live right after this on RacerTV.com.
Any engine, any season, at home, at the track, or on the trail. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of apparel and gear to dirt bike accessories and OEM parts. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
VP fuels are a big part of our race team. They're consistent, and I know every pedal will be the same. With VP, you get better detonation protection and bigger performance gains for your money. And VP has a great distribution. It's easy to find anywhere. Just like an exhaust system, race fuel is an engineered performance part, especially when it comes from VP Racing Fuels.
VP Racing Fuels, purpose-built to take the lead and keep you there.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com for the exciting conclusion of the 19th annual running of the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC and the wrap-up to the 2013 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship Series. It all culminates here in central Indiana, a major hotbed as far as off-road racing is concerned, and we wait here at the finish line where we are due in within the next 5.5 minutes or so with KAILUB Russell is what we're expecting to take a checkers and a win. But as we all well know, 5 minutes, that translates into what, about 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles or something along those lines, and a lot can happen during that time, Johnny Gallagher.
Well, you know, we last saw them just prior to the 8-mile marker, so we can kind of assume that they've probably made it to the, you know, the 10 or so by now, and the finish is nearly the 12. So, you know, they're halfway from where we saw them last. Still, we'll see them at the finish. So it's tense times down there. I mean, you can see all those people anxiously waiting, you know. Ultimately, whichever rider appears first is your 2013 GNCC champion.
Exactly, and as far as the XC2 Pro Lights class is concerned, we were monitoring and watching this one all day, and we saw the young Grant Baylor running in 4th place position all day long. Moved up to second, was actually chasing down Andrew DeLong, and now as we check in with him, he has dropped back to at least a 5th place position, about 4 seconds behind Jason Thomas. No, that does not take him out of the championship hunt and championship run right now, but it is a pretty good indication that something might have happened. And big brother Stu, who also stepped off the bike a little bit early today because the wrist has given him a little bit of problem. But Stu, something definitely you said you think might have happened. You heard him saying something about a knee?
Yeah, he came through with his leg hanging off. You know, he dropped off, I guess, well over a minute that last lap. What's the lap times?
He was a 28:17 to
coming from a
DeLong's
26. Yeah. He had a 26 the lap before. So yeah, he's dropped off tremendously. And he was pointing at his knee and saying that he was really struggling with it. So,
man, that's a tough break. I hate to hear that. And whatever the case is, I hope it heals quick. And be a good big brother. Give him some good advice. Tell him to let it heal and don't push things too much. All right.
What are you talking about?
I know it. I said be a good big brother. But Stu Baylor, thanks for that update right there. And hopefully everything's going to be all right for the young Grant Baylor. And right now we are waiting on fellow teammates of the KTM Baylor boys. And we're talking about the rides of KAILUB Russell and Charlie Mullins, both on their KTMs. Johnny Gallagher, we are now about 3 minutes out before we will probably see KAILUB Russell checking in for the checkers and that championship. I say probably. I don't want to be too optimistic. I don't want to shoot KAILUB in the foot, so to speak. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's a matter of waiting until those checker flag flies. We see Tim Cotter down there. We see lots of guys down there near the finish line anticipating the finish of this. That was actually KAILUB Russell's dad down there, Jeff Russell, who is GNCC trail boss. And, you know, as far as I've never seen Jeff Russell remove himself from a situation as much as what he has this year. And he's just pretty much been a part of the woodwork watching basically this entire championship unfold. And I know this has got to be a proud moment in his life today, for sure.
Sure, you know, Jeff being a XC1 or what back then was called the AA class in GNCC racing himself, and enduro champion, and having a rich off-road history of his own, you know, to see his son mature and become an XC1 racer, and obviously having won XC2 races and XC2 titles over the years. You know, he's watched KAILUB grow up from a mini rider, and now here he is, you know, on the eve, right on the shelf of becoming the nation's premier off-road rider, just less than a few miles away.
Well, Jen, you're down by the finish line right now. What's the atmosphere like down there?
Oh, Rodney, there's so much anticipation going on over here. Obviously, we've got all the KTM members making their way over here, all the spectators and fans. They want to see how this race is going to end. And, I mean, we're just moments away from seeing what's going to happen here in this race.
Well, we're about 1 minute and 32 seconds according to calculations here, and we wait with bated breath to see who our new champion is going to be crowned here in just a matter of only, less than 2 minutes, as a matter of fact, here at this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. Why are we watching that red truck, you ask? Because soon KAILUB Russell or Charlie Mullins will round that turn right there and head into the home stretch for the finale of this 2013 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship season.
You know, and as we watch traffic pass and we watch this corner where we'll see him next, what's happening out there is KAILUB Russell, and there he is.
KAILUB Russell is what?
You know, KAILUB Russell, what's going through his mind right now is finishing this race out. For a minute, I thought that was Charlie behind him, and things got a whole lot more interesting. But KAILUB Russell appears to be by himself, and, you know, at this point, he's not celebrating yet. He knows that, you know, there's just these few turns left, but he's worked hard.
Celebrating.
No, I disagree. I think in his mind he knows the celebration's coming.
I'm sure
but
he gave a thumbs up or a peace sign to somebody out there on the track.
He's focused on the finish line right now. When he could see
right.
the finish line after he comes over the sea container here in a minute, our kind of our overseas jump, if you will, he's going to jump back into reality. And, you know, right now he's been in his own world for the last 3 hours, 2 hours and 53 minutes. And, you know, he's done what he needed to do to win this championship. And, you know, can't say enough about Charlie Mullins. I mean, to hang so close, you know, he's guaranteed wherever he's at, just a few seconds behind KAILUB. He's twisting that throttle to the stops, hoping for anything, you know, giving it his all. And, man, these guys have just laid it on the line this year.
And you got to say for Auntie Colin over there at KTM, and this has been a dream job to be a team manager like that and to have your two top riders battling out for the championship like this, right down to the wire. You know you've got the championship. It's an awesome feeling to be team manager. And here comes KAILUB Russell jumping into reality, as you said.
And now I'm going to say he's starting to celebrate. He's not celebrating yet, but he's starting to think about it. He's making this left-hander. He's coming to the finish. He knows he's coming up through here, and he's thinking to himself, okay, this is it. I'm coming up over the hill. I'm going to see my wife. I'm going to see my family.
There
I'm
it
going to give
is.
him a
The
rev.
celebrations have begun.
And he knows right now he's done what he needs to do. He's going to make this last turn, and he's going to celebrate a well-earned championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather around the finish line. Put your hands together and make some noise. And welcome your new Grand National Cross Country Champion, KAILUB Russell. Wow, so many years, so much hard work from a time when he was on a 65cc motorcycle. He has dreamed about this day right here. And to see it finally come to fruition, just an amazing moment. Look at him go. He is happy, man. I mean, I've seen him happy before, but I mean, you look at his eyes and you wonder, is that a happy look and is that a happy face on KAILUB Russell? Yeah, that's the happy, that's the relief, that's the wow, I finally got this look that KAILUB Russell is carrying around right now.
Yeah, you know, he really did a great job this year, and his entire team, his family, his friends, everybody that supported him, you know, they did what they needed to do. Now the job's done. Now it's time to celebrate.
And waiting on his teammate and runner-up there, the 112 of Hot Rod Charlie Mullins, who himself has nothing to hang his head about this year. I mean, he's got, well, he's got 2 National Enduro titles under his belt. He's got a GNCC title, almost a second GNCC title under his belt. And you know he's got the hunger, the desire, and the fire to come back and make it happen again in 2014, rather.
Certainly. I expect to see the same kind of battle out of these guys. And also, it looks like
check that out right there. That right there, a great, proud
that's a
moment,
cool moment
for Dad.
A very cool moment.
That is a proud moment for Papa Jeff there. Let's head on down to the finish line where Jen Kenyon is standing by, getting ready to talk with a very excited KAILUB Russell.
Oh, that's right, Rodney. There's so much excitement going on here. KAILUB, you guys have had a heck of a season here in 2013. It's been a battle down to the wire, literally. Tell us how you're feeling right now after just finishing your race, 2013 National Champion.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's awesome to be up here. You know, it's you know, ever since I was a little kid, just watching Barry and Rodney and Freddie and all those guys, is all I ever wanted to do. And you know, I'm happy to be up here and be a part of that elite group of guys. So you know, it's a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah, you are indeed part of that group now. That's really, really great for you. Now, you talked about the experience of coming short of this championship last year. You learned a lot in the process. What was going through your mind at the beginning of that race? You got out front, and you know, what were you thinking going through that race?
You know, actually it started off awful. I got a little penalty. I rest my finger on my starter button because there's a little bit of a delay in it. Like there's a lot of play in it, and I just a bonehead move. Like I haven't done it all year, and I've never done it before. And I accidentally just pushed a little too hard, and I started my bike, and I killed it. I killed it again. But yeah, I got a penalty right off the bat. But yeah, I was kind of worried at first about that, but then I caught back up and. I got in the lead, and I just tried to maintain and you know, control the race. That's what it's all about. You know, I'm not always the fastest guy, but I think I'm one of the best racers out here, and I know how to control the race and how to turn the outcome into my favor. And you know, I was just waiting. I wasn't really riding that hard, and Charlie made that mistake, and I put the hammer down and I gapped him, so I was able to bring it home.
You know, I think you just proved that here today. You are indeed the best racer here at GNCC. Congratulations on your 2013 National Championship. I think we've got Tim Cotter over here. He wants to pass the mic over. He's going to do the #1 plate presentation.
Thank you, Jen. KAILUB, on behalf of Racer Productions and all of GNCC Nation, we present you this #1 overall national championship, a #1 plate to KAILUB Russell. KAILUB, I know this is a dream come true for you and many. You were born into the GNCC family, and what an accomplishment.
Yeah, like I've said before, you know, this is all I've ever since I was little. You know, Dad said if this is what you want to do, you know, you better work hard at it. So you know, I'm glad to be here now, and yeah, it's a great honor.
Filled with emotion, Kailub Russell is our new GNCC overall champion. Now we'll go back to Rodney in the GNCC Live studios.
All righty, thanks a lot, Tim Cotter, and the mayor of the GNCC. I call him the governor, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's a mayor, and we got a governor above him, but whatever the case, man, Tim, a big part, actually one of the original voices of the GNCC Nation, and being able to see him present that plaque, or that #1 plate to Kailub like that, I know it means a lot to him as well. As we are a true family. I mean, all of us are here in the GNCC Racing Nation, and every time we get to crown a new champion, it does make you feel special, and especially a little closer to home like that. And, of course, down near the finish line, I believe Jen Kenyon is going to be catching up with Charlie Mullins. We're going to get his perspective on this championship battle and how things went. You know, we were watching Kailub and we were watching Jeff there, both those guys trying to hold back the true emotions, but you saw the more and the longer that Kailub talked, that smile just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And Jeff the same way. They were trying to be cool, you know, trying not to be overly emotional, but you know what, guys? Let it all out, man. You guys just won the national title, man.
Yeah, you know, it's sinking in for those guys right now. You know, Jeff has watched Kailub, as we talked about, grow up from a 65 rider to ultimately be the #1 plate holder, the XC1, the overall champion, the top guy, you know, so he did what he needed to do, and, you know, Jeff certainly having a proud father moment, and, you know, Kailub, for him, it's all sinking in, you know, this is a lifelong dream for him. This isn't about a 13-race series in 2013 for him. This is about, since as long as he can remember, he's wanted to race a motorcycle, and when you want to race a motorcycle, you want to be the best at it. And when you want to be the best in off-road, you want to race GNCC, and you want to have the #1 plate that Paul Whibley has on his bike right now from 2012. You know, Kailub Russell now has that, and, you know, that's the fruition of his dreams, of his hard work. It's all come for him, and today's the payoff.
It most certainly is, and right now, Kailub is switching jerseys from that 557 to the all-special #1. That Paul Whibley will be passing over to him here in just a little bit. And speaking of passing over, let's pass it on down to Jen Kenyon, who's standing by with our third-place finisher, the amazing Axeman, Paul Whibley.
That's right, Rodney. You know, I feel like I'm in a really special place right now. I'm next to our 2013 champion. To my left here, we've got our 2012 champion, Paul Whibley. Paul, third place overall on the day. That's your second in a row coming back from injury. You got to be pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it was good. Felt good out there, but Charlie and Kailub checked out like they had business to take care of today, so I left them to it and just kind of rode a steady pace out there, and pretty happy with my return after the injury. Everything's gone really good, and the bike's working great, and looking forward to next year.
Yeah, for sure. Now talk about the track conditions out there. It looks like it was a pretty rough and gnarly ride, somewhat, you know, some of the terrain that you really do well in. So talk about the track and your race out there.
Oh, the track was actually not bad. A little bit drier than usual here, but the track held up good. It was kind of rough and choppy, and it was kind of good fun to ride. It was a good fun track, so I enjoyed it.
All right, well, good job out there today, Paul Whibley. Third place overall for the day. We had a really great 2013 season with you. I'm sure you'll be more than happy to pass on the baton to our next champion, and now you're joined by 3 other former champions here on the line.
Yeah, big congrats to Kailub. He really is a deserving champion. He pushed me hard last year, and he finally took it this year, so we're really happy for him, and congratulations to him.
All right, so 2014 is going to be a stellar season. We got all kinds of champions on the line. We're still waiting for a couple guys to come in, Rodney, so I'm going to throw it up to you guys. You can get in some of that last-minute race call, and we'll be back with some of our leaders.
All righty, sounds good, Jen. And I know that we got Russell, Mullins, Whibley, 1, 2, and 3. We have Rory Mead is checked in now. He was only 1 minute and 47 seconds. He cut that gap in half. That he was behind Whibley there on that final lap. He finishes up 4th. Jordan Ashburn, who got the All Balls Racing Whole Shot Award, also rounded out your top 5 after it was all said and done.
You know, with Paul finishing on the podium there and Rory getting that 4th, that's a great finish for both those guys, and certainly builds more anticipation coming into next season. You know, with Kailub carrying that #1 plate, Charlie so close behind, Whibley obviously back on form, Rory Mead showing flashes of brilliance here at the end of the season. You know, I'm already excited about 2014, Rodney.
I am too. You know, that's what a lot of this has been building toward, Johnny, is the 2014 season, and you know, whether it be the championships that they're trying to win out there, or they're looking for new sponsors or building the sponsorship programs they go. That's what we're all building towards is 2014. And I am excited. I'm like you. I mean, there's so much on the horizon. There's obviously the Russell Mullins battle. It's going to continue right where it pick up right where it left off at. I think Whibley's going to be back into the thick of things again next year, and I think there's going to be a few other guys that are going to step up to the plate. And I think what we saw this year was just a tip of the iceberg of what kind of eliteness we're going and about to see as far as maybe the top 4 or 5 riders going head-to-head for wins next season.
Absolutely, and obviously there's a couple things that maybe we haven't touched on that just to kind of build everybody at home your anticipation for 2014. We're going to see probably the most dominant as far as race wins rider in XC2, Andrew Long. I think a lot of rumors have him linked to riding XC1 next year. We've also got obviously Jason Thomas, if he's back, is going to be an XC1 rider, and then also Chris Bach coming back with that number 3 plate. Can't say enough about my buddy in the season he had.
All righty, as we head back down to the finish line where Jen Kenyon stands by with KTM race team manager Auntie Cullinan.
Auntie, your guys had an amazing season here in 2013. They were the 1 and 2 guys almost every round here. Talk about how exciting that is for you as the team manager and how exciting this championship battle was for you guys. Either way it went here today.
Well, beginning of the year, it's exciting to see 2 guys up front and pulling away from the rest, and then towards the end of the season, you know, you start realizing that, you know, we're going to have one happy rider and one very disappointed. You know, this is a, you know, solo sport and only one can be a winner. So it had to come down to this, and both riders rode well. I mean, they were back and forth always, first and second most of the year. So if ever this could be a time for really give a hat to both of the riders. I mean, they both deserve the same, but there can only be one winner.
Yeah, and that's the rough part about this sport. You can only have one champion. This time it was KAILUB Russell, but hats off and kudos to the whole Factory FMF KTM team. You guys were awesome this year, obviously. The results showed it. You guys have a great team behind all those guys.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort in our team, and we take great pride of our product and the whole team and the whole the staff of the team and everyone. You know, we put all our hearts in it, and it shows this year, first and second, and hopefully now also XC2 championship coming our way, and also Maria winning a women's championship. So it couldn't go any better.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on a great season.
Thank you.
Jen, I really want to know why you didn't ask him who his favorite rider was.
I don't think that we want to ask the KTM guys to choose any sides. I'm sure it was hard enough as it is for those guys to get through the end of the season. Like Auntie said, you know, there can only be one champion, and it's crazy to think about the 2 teammates battling it out like they did, but man, it was an interesting time. I'm going to make my way over here. Andrew DeLong just had a hard-fought 3-hour race. He's not even sure how to park his motorcycle. Andrew, last race of the season, you got another win here in the XC2 class. How are you feeling after that ride?
Pretty good. I had some mistakes today. It's really pretty silty out, so it was a little deceiving of where you had traction and where you didn't have traction, and had fun. And the last lap I had a big crash. I was like, come on now. So, but no, I had a blast. It was awesome, and I can't wait to come back next year.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you talked about this was your farewell tour on the HUSQvarna 250. What's going through your mind? Is it a bittersweet moment, or are you ready to make on that next chapter of your racing career?
Yeah, I'm super pumped with it, and the bike worked great, and it's a good last ride on it. I'm glad I got the win. If I didn't come away with winning on my, you know, the last time I'm going to ride it, I would have been a little bit bummed out. But it worked out great, ran great, had no problem all day. So.
All right, Andrew, well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you after these races. Congratulations on another win out there.
Thanks, Jen.
All right, we're going to make our way to the smack dab in the middle here. Scotty Grills. Scotty, second place in the class today. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, heck yeah, man. It was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning, and I just seemed to keep falling back, and had bad arm pump. And then next thing you know, I was catching Grant and Shane, and I was catching Grant and Shane, and my arm pump went away, and they started making mistakes, and that was it. I was in second.
You know, talk about the track conditions. It seemed like a lot of guys were having issues out there, a lot of crashes, a lot of breakdowns and things like that. But so it's got to feel pretty special to come out on that rough track in those rough conditions.
Oh yeah, it was pretty rough. It was fast, but there's some deep holes that you could really screw yourself up, and if you stayed to not crash, then you would do pretty good.
All right, well, congratulations on a great ride here. Second place in the XC2 Pro Lights, Scotty Grills.
Thank you very much.
All right, Rodney. Oh, looks like we do have our third place finisher. Not sure which side to step on here. Is this Shane Hufford? I can't see you. You're all covered in dirt. Shane, another podium finish for you here in the XC2 class. Tell us about your day.
Well, got off to a real good start again. That definitely put things, in the right situation for the whole day. But I stayed out front all day, made minimal mistakes, and I fell on a hill a couple times, the same hill actually, so that held me up a little bit. But I just stayed strong and try to hang with the top guys here. And it's real hard, but I'm learning as I'm going here. So can't wait to next year to come back, hopefully with better and stronger. So.
Yeah, for sure. We've watched you steadily improve so much. Your end of the season here, you're getting on the podium on a regular basis here. So we're going to see you back in the XC2 Pro Lights class next year.
I sure hope so. We haven't really worked anything out for next year yet, but hopefully something comes together. I'd love to see you guys again next year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, congratulations on a great finish here today and an awesome 2013 season.
Thank you.
All right, Rodney, there it is, our top three XC2 Pro Lights finishers. Shane Hufford, Scotty Grills, and Andrew DeLong takes that #1 spot again.
Wow, what an amazing and epic 2013 season. I know that's a word, Johnny, that might be way overused, but I think it's the best way to describe it. It has been a long, hard-fought battle between these guys right down to the championship in this XC1 Pro class.
Certainly, and for those viewers at home that are watching the live feed, what an amazing and epic mustache that was as well. In the background there, it was pure greatness. But for KAILUB Russell to walk away from here with that #1 plate and Charlie to fight him right to the finish, you couldn't ask for anything better. It's how we wanted to see it play out, and those guys laid it on the line, and I'm sure neither one of them are going to hang their heads a bit about it.
Well, we have one more #1 plate to present to our new XC2 Pro Lights class champion. Who's it going to be? We'll be back with more here on RacerTV.com and GNCC Live to find out right after this.
The Can-Am Renegade 1000 XXC with the most powerful engine in the industry. The Outlander 1000 XT with a redesigned chassis for unequal trail riding. The Commander 1000 Limited, the most equipped, luxurious side-by-side in the industry. The facts say it's the most advanced lineup out there. But the ride says it all.
What we got here at AOMC is a huge selection. You can get everything you need for your off-road bike.
We're here to support the sport. Customer service is our priority. We all ride, so trying to take care of our fellow riders.
Well, this is a perfect spot for it. We're on 32 acres here, right in the middle of Appalachia, prime riding area. Yeah, really anything KTM has in stock, we have it. We get it the next day.
What excites me the most is that even after 12 years, I feel like we're just getting started. Hi, this is Tanner Harding, and today we're going to take a walk around KAILUB's 2013 KTM 350 XCF. One of the coolest things about KAILUB Russell's bike is it's pretty much all stock. You can go right into your KTM dealer and you can get an XC model, and it's great for trails, it's great for racing, it's a great all-around bike. So that's the 2013 KTM 350 XCF. I'm Tanner Harding. Thanks for checking it out.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. We're here with our 2013 XC2 Pro Lights champion, Grant Baylor. Grant, 5th place on the day here at the Ironman finale, but that's all you needed to get that 2013 championship. 6th, actually.
Yeah, actually 6th. Lane passed me right there going in the finish, but
gate was going pretty good, and caught up to second, and I was gapping those guys out, and then got back there in the powder section and hit a kicker and just went end over end and actually broke my neck brace. So I think if I didn't have that on, I would be in the hospital right now. But all in all, it was good. Got the championship. Feels great.
It was a great rookie season for you, Grant. We're really proud of you. I'm going to pass the mic over to Tim Cotter so he can present you your first ever XC2 #1 plate.
Thank you, Jen. Grant, on behalf of GNCC Racing, Racer Productions, and all of the GNCC Nation, we are proud to present to you in your rookie season, just turning 16 years old, the #1 plate you indeed are, the XC2 National Champion. I know, again, just like Caleb Russell, you were practically born into GNCC. This was your goal in life from the get-go, and you've got to be proud right now.
Oh yeah, it feels great. I've actually been going at it as soon as I was of age to run the GNCC, so it's always been a dream of mine, and dreams come true today.
Well, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Let's head it over now to Rodney Tomlin from GNCC Live.
All righty, thanks a lot, Tim Cotter. And what a day, what a season of epic proportions, to say the least. The 2013 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship coming down to the very end in both their XC1 and XC2 Pro Lights classes in this championship battle. Congratulations to Caleb Russell on his first XC1 title, and of course, congratulations to Grant Baylor on a very historic weekend, not only taking the national championship, but doing it in his rookie season, which is a history-making mark in the XC2 Pro Lights class, and also doing it at 16, as he is the youngest rider to ever do that. So a big, big weekend, a big, big season of the 2013 season, and of course we'll be back in 2014 with lots more of AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship racing. On behalf of my cohorts here, of course, Johnny Gallagher, Jen Kenyon, and Stu Baylor, who's been helping out all season long, and of course all the many fine folks at Racer Productions, the staff and management, I'm Rodney Tomlin saying good day, everybody. Have a great day, great off season.